we don't have the engineer's lab. We're going to adjourn first and then go through. Yeah.
I mean, I have no problem getting this stuff done whenever we have the next meeting. Okay, all right.
What happened? I cannot believe next week is unbelievable.
Same thing happens to me sometimes when I'm laughing. I'm like, okay, gotta hop in.
Good, how you doing?
All good?
You look good. Thank you.
That's okay, thank you much. Okay. I don't think this chair is moving, I'm gonna fix it down in a minute. I'm good. Ready?
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Township of Union Planning Board meeting for July 24th, 2025. Sunshine notice, please.
Pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Law, notice of this meeting stating the time and place was satisfied by the filing of an annual notice with the local source and the Star Ledger, newspapers of general circulation within the Township of Union, and posted on the bulletin board of the Township of Union Municipal Building.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Alexander?
Here.
Mr. Cohan? Ms. Espinoza? She's excused. Mr. Frayne?
Here.
Mr. Miller? Ms. Perkins?
Here.
Mayor Bowser?
Here.
Committeewoman Terrell?
Here.
Ms. Khan? Ms. Kayla Kalid?
Here.
Chairman Lay?
Here. Our first item on our agenda, can we swear in the engineer, please?
Mr. Dave, would you raise your right hand? Do you swear the testimony about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Our first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the June 26th meeting. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion.
Moved by Mr. Frayne. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Khalid. Roll call, please.
Mr. Alexander?
Yes.
Mr. Frayne?
Yes.
Ms. Perkins?
Yes.
Mayor Bowser?
Yes.
Chairwoman Terrell?
Yes.
Ms. Kalid?
Yes.
Chairman Lay?
Yes. Next item up is the adoption of the resolution for our RCG Realty. Can I get a motion, please?
Motion.
Moved by Mr. Frayne. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mrs. Perkins. Roll call, please.
Mr. Alexander?
Yes.
Mr. Frayne?
Yes.
Ms. Perkins?
Yes.
Mayor Bowser?
Yes.
Committeewoman Terrell?
Yes.
Ms. Kalid?
Yes.
Chairman Lay?
Yes. The next resolution is 2025-09-711, 1174 Morris Avenue. Can I get a motion to approve the resolution?
Motion.
Moved by Mr. Frayne. Second
Second.
by Mrs. Perkins. Roll call, please.
Mr. Alexander?
Yes.
Mr. Frayne?
Yes.
Ms. Perkins?
Yes.
Mayor Bowser?
Yes.
Committeewoman Terrell?
Yes.
Ms. Kalid?
Yes.
Chairman Lay?
Yes. All right. Next item on our agenda is a presentation from Kristen Russell for our 2025 Master Plan reexamination. Mrs. Russell? And can we swear in Mrs. Russell, please?
Raise your right hand. You swear the testimony about to give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. Good evening, everybody. Kristen Russell with Colliers Engineering and Design. I am here to present to you this evening a 2025 Master Plan reexamination. Just as background to refresh your memory, master plans are governed by the municipal land use law, and they require that a municipality update them every 10 years. You can also, in the intervening time, adopt master plan amendments. You did this in 2021, and your last master plan was updated in 2021, and your last reexamination was updated just last year in 2024. There is no limit on how often you can amend and revise your reexamination reports, and so now here we are a year later doing another reexamination amendment, another reexamination. The last reexamination looked specifically at your NC district and some rezoning in the TOD and CI zone, so it was very focused. The one that I will present to you this evening, you'll also find is very focused on just about 2 issues. Reexamination reports do have certain information that the municipal land use law requires be included therein. That includes identifying the problems and objectives that have happened since the time of the last master plan, the extent that those problems and objectives have reduced or increased, the extent that there have been significant changes in the assumptions, specific changes recommended to the master plan, and recommendations related to redevelopment plans. The scope, as I said, is very focused on this reexamination report, and it focuses strictly on modifications to NC and RA boundaries, and I'll go over with you where that relates to, as well as a recommendation to look at some of the bulk requirements here in Union. We do have to look at how the objectives have changed, and so I pulled those which are related to the scope of this reexamination report, and I will identify those. There's one goal of maintaining the character of the existing residential neighborhoods while providing opportunities for housing types that meet the needs of all ages and abilities. That goal remains. And then objectives, which are subsets of the goals, include, I'm going to paraphrase these, preserving the integrity of established single-family and two-family neighborhoods and preventing incompatible non-residential uses. Both of those still remain accurate and will be, those objectives will remain. There's also a goal of supporting desirable non-residential development. While that goal remains, there is an objective of identifying zoning ordinance improvements that can respond to the changing economies and market demands. And this is to be revised. As you may recall, we recently eliminated residential uses from the NC zone, and an appropriate revision to that goal would be to revise bulk standards related to the height in the NC zone to reflect the previously adopted permitted uses. And while we're at it, a reduction in the height in feet for two-story residential districts should be considered to control the roofline aesthetic. Last, there's a goal to eliminate residential uses in the NC district, which is what I've just mentioned we dealt with last year, and so that remains. So what are the changes in assumptions that bring us here today? The master plan, as it relates to the change from NC to R, the master plan envisioned commercial growth at the southern end of Chestnut Street near the Roselle Park Borough border, and that was based largely on the fact that the area is within a 5 to 10 minute walk of the Roselle Park train station. At this point in time, Union does not see that as a realistic development pattern, and the vision is to now retain the existing single-family residential uses in that area. A second change in assumption that we see is that Union is facing unique challenges and threats to become more urbanized. Preserving its existing suburban character in all non-downtown areas is a priority for the community and has been cited as a top concern among residents. So what we're recommending in this reexamination report is that a comprehensive review of the bulk requirements, including height, setbacks, and coverage, be undertaken, and the goal will be to identify what the massing is and how that can be codified to ensure that overpowering development does not alter the existing traditional neighborhood character. Modifying, lowering the recommended bulk and height limits for the NC zone specifically follows the 2024 recommendation to eliminate the residential use. So going on, the bulk changes, the recommendations for bulk changes, it is recommended that the NC district maximum height be lowered from 3 to 2 stories and from 35 to 27 feet. Because the residential uses have been eliminated from that NC zone, which is where you would have seen ground floor commercial and residential above it, well, if that residential isn't going to be there, there's no reason to have a 3-story building. So we're recommending that that be pulled down to 2 stories in the next time you amend the zoning code. We are also, as I mentioned earlier, recommending that the bulk and height limits in township-wide, but with a particular focus on residential zones, be studied to consider reducing height and study the existing setback and coverage limits. What we're really going for here is to do an analysis of what the neighborhoods look like now and make the zoning match them where the existing conditions are something that we want to preserve, maintain, and have continued with any new development that should happen in those neighborhoods. That does require a study in order to come up with the exact numbers or the exact zone boundaries that would be appropriate. So I don't have, that study has not been completed yet, so I can't tell you what the findings are. But this reexamination report recommends that that study take place. I told you I'd explain to you where the NC to RA rezoning is on Chestnut Street. This map may help orient you. It's primarily along Tucker Avenue, Sinclair, Carolyn Road, and Chestnut Street, and Mercer Avenue. Again, there had been some expectation at the time of your master plan that the NC would kind of start to grow in that area, and that's just no longer the vision. And so we are going to recommend that those residential lots that are circled and are listed in the appendix of the document be made RA in order to preserve that residential neighborhood. I think that's it. So in summary, there are two recommendations built into this master plan reexamination. The one is the zoning, rezoning of the parcels that are still on the map now from NC to RA. And the other one is to undertake a study as to the bulk standards and if, how, and where they should be modified in order to preserve the traditional neighborhoods that we see in Union and not have new development come into those neighborhoods that is out of character, an intrusion, and really just doesn't reflect the scale of the existing neighborhood. Should you choose to adopt this reexamination tonight, I expect that that study will go forward within the next month or few months, and I will be able to appear before you within, let's say, 1 to 4 months, I don't know, and present to you what recommendations we have more specifically to amend the zoning code.
Thank you for your presentation. Questions from the board? Just kind of an overarching question. With the slide that you had on the proposed recommendations, for the NC zone with regards to the bulk changes that you're proposing. Ultimately, all of this is here to help support of the goals that you've referenced in your reexamination report with master plan goal 1 and 2. I know that those are unchanged before the board here, but I assume that the intentionality and the big picture of it is that these recommendations help further support and align to those specific goals.
Yes, they support, they align, and they clarify or maybe slightly redirect. Like, you're allowed to change your goals in the master planning process. And what the reason that we need to do this is, I mean, if the board is on board, is that zoning needs to reflect the vision of the master plan. So we need to make sure that if we were going to make zoning changes, that the master plan supports those. And this clarifies exactly the vision that we have for the community, and the zoning should layer on top of that, and they should kind of hold hands. So right now, the master plan goals, as I had earlier, you saw most of these goals that I identified, they remain unchanged. And that's what you're pointing out. And indeed, like, that's kind of what I'm trying to show you, is that there's not a major shift going on here with our goals. Several of them are to remain. The one that is primarily changing is the, and I'll paraphrase it, but to help preserve the character of the neighborhoods. And if that's going to mean, if that goal is going to mean changing significantly the bulk or the zone boundaries, that needs to be specifically called out in a master plan document. So that's why we're doing this tonight, because I anticipate that it might result in changing some zone boundaries or some bulk requirements that are significant enough that we need to be, that we need to kind of announce it, and this is that announcement.
Thank you. Any further questions from the board?
I do want to point out to the board, just so there's no confusion, that master plan documents, including reexamination reports, are under the sole jurisdiction of the planning board. So when you adopt this tonight, that's it. It does not need to be referred to the township committee.
Got it.
So you would adopt this tonight, and then you could, have a resolution affirming that. But this is really, you're the sole body that has authority over master plan documents.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification.
Yep.
Just want to make sure. Questions from the public? Just have to go then. Comments from the board? Comments from the public? Okay, hearing none. Can I get a motion to approve the reexamination and amendment report to the master plan?
Motion.
Moved by Mr. Frayne. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Alexander. Roll call, please.
Mr. Alexander?
Yes.
Mr. Frayne?
Yes.
Ms. Perkins?
Yes.
Mayor Bowser?
Yes.
Committeewoman Terrell?
Yes.
Ms. Kalid?
Yes.
Chairman Lay?
Yes.
Thank you.
Can I call the representative for Pollo Campero, application 2025-13?
Yes, good evening, Mr. Chairman of Board members, members of the public. Stephen Hale representing Pollo Campero, PC, the new place out on Route 22. And I know we had an opportunity to speak, and I did speak to Mr. Tamavi from Colliers. No, Colliers, is it not on? Yes. Colliers is still working on the report, and we'll have it shortly. So we talked about adjourning this matter without further notice until the August 28th, I believe, meeting of the board. So I don't think we're close to the time period for extension of time, but we would stipulate any such extension as needed. So
Okay. Can I get a motion to adjourn application 2025-13 to the August 28th meeting without further notice?
Yes, I'll make that motion.
Moved by Mrs. Perkins. Is there a second? Seconded by Mrs. Khaled. Roll call, please.
Mr. Alexander?
Yes.
Mr. Frayne?
Yes.
Ms. Perkins?
Yes.
Mayor Bowser?
Yes.
Committeewoman Terrell?
Yes.
Ms. Kalid?
Yes.
Chairman Lay?
Yes.
thank you very much, and have a
Thank
great
you.
night.
You too.
Keep cool.
All right. Going back to the order of our agenda, we will now go with application 2024-07, Chestnut 367 LLC.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Stephen H. Berman of the law firm of Javerbaum, Wargap, Hicks, Kahn, Wickstrom, and Simmons, appearing on behalf of the applicant. Mr. Chairman, before we proceed, I would like to ask for a quick sidebar with counsel with regard to a legal issue that has really just arisen, and then I'd like to come back after he and I have a conversation with regard to it.
Is it a quick conversation
Very
that?
quick conversation.
Okay. I was just assessing if we do need to recess and you haven't.
No,
Okay.
it's going to be a very, very quick conversation,
Okay.
I assure you.
All right.
Yeah, right, I think. Okay, good, quick. We're gonna, I quick do a paper for them to carry it. It's good, we're good. 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
No problem.
Well, I've heard a lot of things about the NC zone. We're going to talk about the NC zone. This may be the last application for a residential use in the NC zone, as based upon what we just heard.
For the public, would you explain what you understand the ANSI zone to be, sir?
Right? The NC zone is the neighborhood core zone.
Thank you.
Okay. And that is, in fact, the zone where this property, 367 Chestnut, is located. It is currently a one-story.
Mr. Merman, just make sure you're close to the mic. So,
Thank you.
yep.
I know, it's difficult for me to stand still. I will try my best. I know, but if I do that, I'm going to wind up all the way in the back of the room, and that doesn't play well either, especially when we know there are cameras all around. So what we have here is we have a one-story commercial building. It currently houses commercial use, and we're seeking to convert that to a mixed-use commercial on the ground level with residential apartments on the second and third level. The testimony this evening will be done by our engineer, John Milana, our architect, Paolo Dantas. We do have a representative of our applicant here to answer any specific questions. but our cleanup hitter will be our planner, and that will be Victor Vernegra of Harbor Consultants. So without further ado, recognizing you do have a long agenda behind us, we're just going to jump right into this, and I'll call my engineer.
Sir, would you raise your right hand, state your name, and spell your last name for the record, please?
Sure. Legal name is Giovanni Manilio, Giovanni-Manilio, with Mantera Design.
Sir, do you swear the testimony about to give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
John, can you give the board the benefit of your background and education?
Sure. I have a Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering from Syracuse University. Have been licensed in the state of New Jersey for the past 17 years. Licensed in good standing. Testified in front of numerous boards throughout the state, and in front of this board on a couple of occasions as well.
Board stipulates.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Could you tell the board what your involvement has been in this overall project?
Sure. So our firm are the civil engineers for the project. We're in charge of putting together the plans and the site plans and the various plans and the zoning for the project. Just give me 1 second. I'm just bringing up some exhibits, which will hopefully help with the presentation. So if you don't mind, I do have 2 exhibits for tonight. One is entitled 367 Chestnut LLC Union Aerial Exhibit with the date of June 26, 2025. It's a colored aerial of the site with the site highlighted in yellow in the middle. It also shows the surrounding streets and the surrounding zoning. As mentioned earlier, the property is located in an NC zone, which is a neighborhood core zone, and this pink line kind of illustrates the limits of the current NC zone on Chestnut Street. Surrounding us on the north, west, and south are other commercial and offices, including a bank, professional offices, and medical offices. Located to the east of us is the RA zone, which is a residential zone, and obviously there are residential structures to the east of us. The lot is essentially rectangular in shape with frontage on both Chestnut and Newark Avenue. The lot's approximately 100 feet wide and 120 feet deep as you go along Newark Avenue. As mentioned earlier, the lot currently consists of a 1-story retail building, which I believe is Fast Signs is in that building right now, with surface parking for 22 parking spaces on the site, and there are currently 3 curb cuts along Newark Ave and 1 on Chestnut Street that are currently there. The site is non-conforming in numerous aspects. I'm not going to go in too much detail, but I'll just list some of the nonconformities. One being lot area, 11,936 square feet is existing, where 15,000 is required. Lot width, it's approximately 100 feet wide, where 150 feet is required. Front yard setback requirement of 10 feet is required, and the current building right now is about 0.88 or 0.9 feet from the front yard along Chestnut Street. A side yard with the property to the north of us, 10 feet is required, and the current building is 0.26 feet. Impervious coverage requirement of 80% is permitted, where 98.7 is currently present on the site. There's currently no loading zones on the property. It's deficient in setbacks for parking, both from residential use, from property lines, from the building, buffers associated with the parking, and parking dimensions and aisle widths in the parking lot don't comply. And I'll show you real quick, so I'm not sure if the board or some of the public can see. I'm going to go to the second page of our plan set that was submitted as part of the application. Just note here on the left side is the existing conditions. Oops, I don't know why this thing keeps popping up, but this is the building on the bottom left corner, as you can see here, and the parking lot to the east of the building, next to the residential zone. Next, I'm going to refer to another exhibit entitled 367 Chestnut LLC Union, site exhibit with a date of June 26, 2025. It's a color rendition of the site plans that were submitted as part of the application. I'll just briefly go through what is being proposed. So as mentioned earlier, the proposal, and I'll just go over some of these colors. So the light brown represents the current building that's there. The dark brown represents what's being proposed. So what we're proposing is on top of the existing building is to build 2 stories above it. So everything is going up on this. And as you can see, we're not going all the way to the side property line where the existing building is. We're actually going to inset it a little bit off the property line, and it's approximately 4.9 feet or 5 feet as you get closer to Chestnut. And as you get to the rear, the setback from the property line is about 6.5 feet. We are matching the front building line, which is 0.88 feet, so we are asking for relief on that, given that the existing building is there and we're building straight up. As far as the proposal, we are proposing residential above, and the architect can go over the layouts as far as what's being proposed, number of bedrooms, and the unit counts. As far as site improvements, we are proposing to close off the curb cut on Chestnut right here and maintain the 2 current curb cuts on Newark Ave and modify the one that's further to the east slightly just to make this parking lot in the back more conforming. So what we're proposing to do is to restripe that parking lot, make it conforming with as much as we can. So previously the driveway was not 22 feet wide in the aisle. This one is 24 feet along the whole aisle, which is fully compliant. We did restripe it. We got rid of other areas where we didn't see that it was useful to have that impervious. So as you see here, as closer as you get to Newark Avenue, we got rid of some of the extra pavement. We were able to put landscaping there, thus reducing the impervious slightly from what's currently out there. And we are proposing, so this is an overhang over on the 2nd or 3rd floor that overhangs the pavement area. We're proposing to stripe 4 spaces on that area as well. Of those spaces, 3 of them will be EV parking spaces, which complies with the requirement for EV. So total, we're proposing 21 physical parking spaces per the state regulations. We are allowed to take a credit for providing EV. So the total number of parking spaces provided is 23 parking spaces. Based on the use of the commercial and the residential, 22 parking spaces are required. So we are over by 1 parking space. As I mentioned earlier, we do comply with the parking aisle on the eastern parking lot with 24 feet being proposed. The parking aisles in this area are not, they vary from 21.1 to, I believe, 22 feet. So that's a little substandard. But I do have another exhibit that I will show, which is a turning exhibit for those parking spaces. Since we do have 2 curb cuts there, it does facilitate the turning in and out of those parking spaces a little easier. So I'll show that in 1 second. And then lastly, with the parking, all spaces will be 9 by 18, and then 3 of them, these ones on the far, I guess, southeast corner, will be fully compliant with the 9 by 20 size. And then the majority of them also do have the 2-foot overhang, with the exception of, I believe, 7 of the parking spaces along the east property line, where we have that retaining wall between our property and the neighbors. And the overhang on that side varies from 0.6 feet, as you can see this angles, to 2 feet. So 9 by 18 is typical standard for RSIS, which we comply with, but we do not comply with the town's requirements for 9 by 18 with a 2-foot overhang. Give me 1 second. I will bring up the turning exhibit because I think it's important to show. So this is, I believe, a new exhibit as well. And this is entitled 367 Chestnut LLC Union Turning Exhibit with a date of June 26, 2025. As you can see here, on this lower parking lot, a vehicle could easily park into the spot. They would back into the curb cut slightly and then make that turn and come out. So no issues with getting in and out of those parking spaces. Shown on the eastern part of the truck turning is a truck turning exhibit for the garbage pickup and drop off. So they would utilize the aisle of the ADA space to make that turn if need be to get out of the parking lot. Going back to that, I'll go back to my...
Let me
Yes,
just
sir.
stop you there. You mentioned the garbage, and like, the assumption is that a private hauler is going to be used?
It will be a
for
private
garbage on
hauler,
this property?
yes, that is correct. It'll be a private hauler, and it'll be up to the applicant or the owner to coordinate the pickup times, how many times per week. But we do have I would say a good size refuse and recycling area located outside the building, and that's where my cursor is right here, but I'll show it on colored exhibit as well, so that's shown right here on this corner. And that's approximately 18 by, I call it 22 feet in width. As mentioned earlier, we're going to remove the excess pavement that's closer to Newark Avenue and add some shrubbery to give it a little bit of green space. We are proposing new lighting. New lighting consist of building-mounted lights and under canopy lights over here as well, and we do comply with the lighting requirements for the town. As far as zoning compliance, we do have count 4 pre-existing nonconformities which are going to stay, which are not being touched, which is the lot area, the lot width, the loading areas for the retail space. That's not changing, and we're not proposing any new loading areas. And the landscape buffer with the east property line, 1.5 feet is existing proposed, where 10 feet is required. As far as variances are being requested, we are seeking a new variance for the front yard. Even though the building is 0.88 or 0.9 feet from the front yard, we are going up 2 more stories, and that's staying at that same plane. So we are requesting a variance for that, where 10 feet is required. On the side yard, currently the side yard is 0.26 feet. The new addition will be 4.9 feet at the closest point, where 10 feet is required. Building coverage, 30% is permitted, where 35.4% is being proposed as part of this application. And lastly, impervious coverage. The requirement is that we're allowed to have 80% of the lot be impervious. Currently, it's 98.7, or we're dropping it by approximately 2% to 96.7%, or equivalent of about 246 square feet of reduction of impervious coverage on the site. We are asking for design waivers for parking setbacks. Again, as mentioned earlier, there was a 0-foot setback, I believe, on the side yard originally, and 1.5 feet is being proposed at this time to the property line. Same with the residential, 1.5 was existing and 1.5 is staying for this setback for the parking. And then setback from a building, the requirement is 5 feet, where 2 feet is proposed on the, I guess, west side of the parking lot. And again, that's to facilitate the 24-foot aisle in that drive aisle to make it safe for cars to turn in and out, which is insufficient at the moment in that parking lot. And then lastly, we're asking for design waiver on the dimensions for the parking spaces, where 9 by 18 with a 2-foot overhang is required, where we do have 7 spaces on the east side that don't have that 2-foot overhang. They range from 0.6 feet to 1.9 feet of overhang. And that concludes my testimony.
Thank you. You've had an opportunity to review the Collier's report of April 16th, 2025, have you not?
I have.
Are there any issues with complying with all the recommendations?
No issues at all.
Just specifically, I want to take you through the technical comments.
Sure.
8.1, the applicant shall upgrade the inlet head and grade on Chestnut Street with an N-Eco head and bicycle safe grade.
No issues.
No issues. Okay. We're going to need to upsize the utilities.
Yeah, it's
Right.
going to be upsized as far
Right,
as
so
water line and-
we're going to be supplying an additional utility plan as part of our construction drawings.
Correct, and any road opening permit,
Right,
which is associated with it.
Okay, ADA regulations will also be noted on the plans for purposes of resolution compliance.
Correct.
Now, we haven't shown any signs on the property. All driveways shall have stop bars and stop signs.
Yeah, I'm not, that's my
Okay.
apology. We didn't have a chance to put it on our exhibit, but yeah, we would put stop signs at the exit and a stop bar at the exits as well. Currently, it
There was
doesn't
also
show us
some discussion about posting a sign, authorized parking only on site. Is that still the applicant's desire, so that everyone knows specifically with regard to the EV spaces that this is private property, it's not public?
Yes, that is the intent.
I'm going to leave the garbage to our architect, because that's an inside issue. Zoning tables obviously have been updated, the design waivers, everything that has been asked for will be done. Mr. Chairman, I have no further questions of this witness.
All right, thank you. Questions from the board?
Yes, I understand this is a commercial and residential. Where do I park? This is all private parking for commercial.
We could designate spaces for commercial, given the parking requirements. I'll have to look here real quick.
to know what that would be, and would they be sufficient for the proposed
Like I said,
commercial
so
use?
for all the uses, we're required to have 22, and we have 23 parking spaces. So for the retail, actually, that's the biggest driver of parking.
Yes.
Of 13 parking spaces. Yeah, so we can designate the spaces for retail after we fulfill the parking for the residential.
So one
It appears to
space.
be about 10 spaces, or 9 spaces, I'm sorry.
Too big.
Ms. Perkins, I just wanted to clarify the statement about authorized parking. We recognize this is a commercial use. We recognize, obviously, the ordinance's requirements with regard to parking. I just want to assure you and the board that it is the applicant's intention that as this site is going to operate in the future, only those cars that are associated with the use are going to be parked on the site. That is why the sign is going to be put up, authorized parking only. We do anticipate, because this is a shared parking arrangement, that there may be more residential parking on the site at night, so some of the people may be parking in those spots that may be designated for the commercial uses, but it is a shared parking arrangement, so we do anticipate that there are sufficient spaces. I didn't want to give the board any indication that there weren't sufficient to cover both the residential and the commercial uses. And we're going to leave some of that to our planner, Mr. Vinegra, at the appropriate time to talk about the necessity of shared parking arrangements on sites like this. Thank you.
Thank you.
And just to further, I think my recommendation would be to sign the 10 parking spaces in the rear for residents only, and then any overflow could be between the other commercial and
So
residential.
the areas that would be designated for residents only are sufficient, I
Right.
understand that. However, then, what I just heard was, however, some residents may choose to use the commercial space.
Correct.
Or perhaps they're visitors,
Mhm.
which is sometimes a problem, but, and, okay.
Which,
Thank you.
again, yeah, the
Sufficient
shared
for now,
parking
thank
arrangement
you.
should work out. Yeah.
Any further questions from the board?
Yeah, I have a question. With regard to the commercial space, is it one, or could it potentially be multiple?
I believe it's just one retail space right
One
now.
retail
And that's
space?
what's being proposed, correct.
And then the parking for the residential spaces, is it one spot per unit, or is it multiple spots designated per unit?
So per the town's regulations, it depends on the number of bedrooms. So we would designate it accordingly.
So we don't know yet how many?
It won't be 1 for 1, no, it won't be 1 for 1, but it'll be more. But I don't know what that count is as far as per bedroom off the top of the
We're
head.
going to have the architect come up, and he's going to explain how many
Thank
bedrooms
you.
are in each apartment, how many
Thank you.
people we anticipate residing in the unit. So
Perfect.
I'd ask that we defer that question. And again, Mr. Vinegra, our planner at the end, will tie all these
Thank
loose
you.
ends up. Thank you.
Yeah, I guess I'm just looking at the parking requirements right now. So for a 1-bedroom, essentially 1.8 or 2 parking spaces are required per 1 bedroom. And then for the 2 bedrooms, 2 parking spaces are required as well. So essentially it'd be almost 2 parking spaces per unit.
1.8?
1.8 is how the state comes up with their numbers. So,
Half a car, then.
but I think it will be up to management to designate. I mean, obviously, if a tenant only has 1 car, they're going to get 1 space.
May we know what the commercial entity will be? Or is that not appropriate?
What is this going to be?
We anticipate that it's going to be the same
What is this?
person who is there now, and it is a sign
They
company.
don't know that already. Why? That's what I want.
So,
Yes, sir.
how are you?
Doing well.
Very nice presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. The EV parking,
Mhm.
that is under the overhang, that was approved by the fire department?
I don't believe we received anything from the fire department, to be honest with you.
We did not.
But we have no issues moving it. We can relocate it to the front of the building and move the ADA and the other spaces there, so that's not an issue.
Because I can tell you for a fact, whenever I speak to Captain Guzman or Chief Riccardi, they do not want EV parking under an overhang.
Yeah, it's a big issue we're having in a lot of municipalities.
Is this building going to be sprinkled?
I believe so, but I'm going to defer to the architect. I don't want to state 100%, but I'm almost positive it is.
Okay. And an elevator?
I'll leave that to the architect as well.
Architect as well? Okay. How about in the back? Is that going to be a retaining wall? How are we?
This brown, so that's an existing retaining wall that's currently out
That's
there.
staying, you're
That's
keeping
staying,
that.
not touching it, correct.
And we're not putting any buffer in there at all?
No. Anyway, if the board feels strongly, we can add a fence to provide some type of buffer, but there's no change to that retaining wall or to the area where parking is happening today.
Okay. And to the left, as you're on Chester Street and you're looking at the buildings to the left, Dr. Glenn owns the dental practice to the left.
Mhm.
That little building between your building, who owns that? Is that the water company?
Yeah, not too sure.
Okay. So I'm just asking, there isn't an issue with anything, with any of your plans there?
No, we're not touching it or affecting that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Donave?
Just a quick point of clarification. I think that we talk about the side yard setback on the paperwork from the attorneys and on the plan, you're seeking relief to .88 feet. It doesn't look like you're now building to .88 feet. That was the existing setback. Are you pulling everything back, including the first floor?
No, so on the front, it's staying .88 feet. On the side of the building to the north, which is shown right here, the existing first floor is going to stay where it's at, which is, I believe is .26 feet.
Okay.
But the upper floors are going to move in approximately 4 to 6 feet.
Okay. So what are you seeking relief for?
So on the side yard, I guess it would be the new proposed building, which is 4.9 feet on the side.
Okay. All right, that's not what the paperwork indicates. I think we're showing the .26 or whatever that number is. So just to clarify, I want to make sure that you guys are asking for relief to the 4.9 or 4 point, the smallest setback that you have there.
Yeah, we can modify our paperwork to show that. Obviously, unless the board feels that we need a variance for the existing building. Some boards do that, I'm not sure
Okay.
how the board acts.
I have one more question.
That's all I have.
Committeewoman?
With regard to the parking again, can you tell me how many spaces there are altogether, and how many of those, how many are slightly undersized?
So they're all 9 by 18, so that meets
They're
our
all the
SIS
same.
requirements. But the town has a different requirement. You can have 9 by 18, but you have to have a 2-foot overhang past your car. So out of the 21 physical parking spaces, we have 14 that fully comply. And then we have 7 that partially comply. They meet the 9 by 18, but they don't have the 2 feet. It varies from, I guess, 7 inches to almost 23 inches, where 24 is required.
Mr. Frank?
Sir, did anyone speak to the owner of the first house on the left-hand side of North Avenue, indicating if they wish to have any type of buffer? Are they okay with what's going on?
I didn't have a conversation. I'm not sure if anybody from the applicant's team, but not to my knowledge.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions from the board? I have some questions on my end. The first area that I want to go to is you presented an exhibit with regards to turning,
Yes.
vehicles turning into the parking spaces on the property. Can you show that exhibit again, please?
Sure.
Yeah. So, can you clarify when the cars are turning into the parking spots to the right of the building, those black bars are they just like aprons, or what are they actually turning into on those dark black lines?
So that dark line represents the press curve or the drop curve that's out there.
Okay.
So that's your apron, yes,
Got it.
essentially.
All right, and so there are 2 of them right there, besides the other one that leads to the bigger parking lot.
Correct.
Okay.
And those are currently there.
And I know, per citing the engineer's letter, I think comment 8.4 about stop bars and stop signs, where are we proposing to put those signs?
So the signs would be right here in the sidewalk. I mean, we might not even have signs. We might just have striping on those, just because of the tightness and that you have all pavement and sidewalk there. They'll probably get hit. with the cars. The other idea is we could even make this a one-way circulation where this is an ingress only, an egress only, which might help with the traffic.
How does it help the cars, the EV cars? Get out and in?
It's the same movement. They would still make
So
the end.
basically, to move out of that space, one has to back one's car out into a street.
Not into the street, no. They would go into the right of way a little bit, but they'd be able to make that turn.
Is the right of way not a street?
Yes.
Sorry, pardon me. I'm a little confused.
No, right of way is not considered a street.
If we may, the area that your cursor is in right now, right? That is the sidewalk area, is that correct?
A portion of it is still pavement, and then there's a portion that's sidewalk.
That's
Correct.
sidewalk, right? And then there's a depressed curb after that.
Correct.
So that entire area is basically either driveway or apron or sidewalk.
Correct.
Thank you.
Just am requesting further clarification because I know we identified potential methods or scenarios of this turning. Are we proposing it being that turning mechanism only for those parking spaces?
That's the only one we ran. I'm sure there's other turning movements that could occur, to be honest with you.
Okay.
And if the board feels strongly, we do have room to move the parking closer to the building. It looks like we have about 5 feet. So if we want to move it 2 more feet, I'm comfortable doing that.
So where my line of questioning was on is that if someone who needed to enter the property was coming from Chestnut Street, and they see the first opening in terms of a parking space on that right side, more than likely they would use the first depressed curb to enter the property rather than the further curb.
Possibly.
Possibly?
But given that that's so close to that intersection, by the time you make that turn, you might actually want to make that second one. It'd be more comfortable to make that movement.
Right. And then conversely, if a commuter is taking the turning mechanism that you have outlined in your exhibit, they're basically exiting the property just right next to the intersection itself of Chestnut and Newark, right?
If they're backing up on this side. So
Yes, like basically what you have here.
Yeah, and then they're coming out on this driveway. That's closer.
Is that really typical for a car to exit and turn out of a parking lot so closely to a regulated intersection that has basically a stop sign right on that intersection from Newark Avenue onto Chestnut? That seems very close.
It is close. I'm not going to say it's not close, but given, I mean, Newark's not a major thoroughfare through the town. Obviously, Chestnut is busier, so if it was coming on Chestnut where that existing driveway was, and that's why we removed that driveway and decided to keep the one on Newark. And essentially, all cars are probably going to make that right out of that driveway and onto Chestnut. So that's why we thought that movement was okay.
And you're referencing to Newark Avenue being a residential street,
Correct.
right? But Chestnut Street is a county road, correct? Okay. How would we assuage those type of concerns if we have a county road that is inherently busier than a residential street, and then we have a bank that probably has some patrons all throughout the day, and then we have commercial, and then we have residential on this proposed property? How do we mitigate the risk of accidents potentially happening?
Yeah, I don't see an increase in risk. So given that the site currently has all those driveways that we were talking about, and actually has another driveway that's near the intersection along Chestnut, I think we're actually making it better by getting rid of one of the curb cuts.
Can you explain how and why?
Well, the more curb cuts you have, there's more points of conflict you may have coming out of the driveways with traffic. So if we're getting rid of one, going from 4 driveways to 3 driveways, we're reducing the number of conflicts.
Okay. I'm still, I still have quite concerns about that curb decline area right next to the intersection. How would you address kind of several human behaviors of potentially a person taking a left turn from Chestnut, but then an individual trying to navigate out of that parking lot area onto Chestnut Street from Newark Avenue?
So, I'm sorry, can you say that?
So if someone exits that parking lot using that
This driveway.
black line right there to try to get to Chestnut Street from Newark Avenue, and then by any chance you have opposing traffic coming from Chestnut trying to make a left turn, how can we reconcile that without potentially causing some kind of accident?
Mr. Chairman, if I may?
Yes.
Recognizing the concerns you have, and I also have some of the same concerns, I just spoke to the applicant. We're going to amend our proposal to indicate that the Chestnut Street driveway is going to remain open. That closer driveway to the corner on Newark would be closed. So the movement, it would provide for a better movement onto the property.
Okay.
Directly off Chestnut, not having to go onto Newark. It also provides a direct access to exit the property directly onto Chestnut, recognizing, Mr. Chairman, as we do, that Newark is a residential street.
Yes.
And the goal is to make sure that all of the traffic goes down and out onto Chestnut and not go down Newark. So we recognize that,
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, and we're going to make that proposal, and we will amend the plan accordingly.
Okay, thank you. I want to go to another area with regards to that retaining wall on the north end. I know Mr. Frayne had some questions with regards to the retaining wall, and it aligns with the comments, comment 1.5 in the engineer's letter. So there's a retaining wall, but there's also a chain link fence existing on that end, right?
Correct.
Okay. And so the comments provided in comment 1.5, would you agree is accurate in terms of what the variance is and what is existing there and what is being proposed?
Correct.
Okay. So alongside with that, with acknowledging that the proposed future use of the property is to add on residential on top of existing commercial use, the nature of the parking lot and the flow of cars going into the parking lot would change ultimately by having an additional use for that property, right? You would have residents coming in and out, morning commute, going out for errands, whatever, right?
Yes.
Okay. So my question relates to the fact that you have, I do believe, a 1.5 feet buffer between those parking spaces to the property line that hits that that residential zone. In your lighting plan, did your lighting plan consider the lighting that would come from the car beams coming in at night?
The lighting plan, no, does not take into account the vehicle lights, but I do want to note, so just looking, I'm zooming in right now, the parking lot itself is approximately, for I would say 50% of the site is 4 feet below the neighbor's property. So the wall itself will block any lights for that. And then as you get further to Newark, it keeps going down, and then it's about, at the very end, it's about 1 foot. But it goes from, like I said, 4 feet of wall, that's higher than the parking lot, down to 1 feet once you get to the end.
When it comes to, I'm not sure what the number of half candles or whatever the measurement, the illumination units are for, a headlight from a car, but knowing that the headlight itself is not directly on the ground, it's elevated. How confident can we say that if we have a bunch of cars coming in the evening, when it gets darker, when people start using their headlights, that the house north of the property wouldn't get all these strobing effects hitting that property?
Yeah, so typically the headlights are about 2 feet off the ground. So I would say any portion of the wall that's 2 feet or higher would be okay. But as I mentioned earlier, the applicant has no issues with putting a solid fence along that wall, on top of the wall.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. My next question pertains to the height and the setback, and thank you for the clarification on the side yard setback that is no longer 0.26 feet. My question lies within the intensification of the setback on the front end of the property that is adjacent to or parallel to Chestnut Street. So can you just reconfirm that what this application is proposing is that setback being 0.88 feet, and basically the second and third story is basically lined up with the first floor, in which you're basically pushing up the entire building where all three stories are basically 0.88 feet from the property line?
Yeah, so I'll touch on that a little bit, but I think once you see the rendering and the elevations, it might make it a little clearer as far as what's being proposed and how it looks from the street. But yeah, so we are essentially holding the front of the building, and as you can see here, it's in line with the neighborhood as far as the buildings that are currently there to the north and to the south, where those buildings were built right at the sidewalk line.
What's the proposed building height that you're proposing for this application?
Let's get the actual number. It's 32.63 feet, where 35 is permitted.
And then I know you mentioned the office building north of it. By any chance, would you know what the height of that building is?
I do not.
Okay. Or the Bank of America building south of it, or south? Okay. All right. Those are my questions. Mrs. Callett, and then Mr. Frayne.
So my question goes to the EV parking. Will these spots be exclusive for electric vehicles only? If so, will that be for residents or for people that are visiting the business? Because if a resident does not have the electric vehicle, will they be allowed to park in those spots, essentially causing situations that are limiting parking?
Yeah, so essentially the EV is a state mandate. So the only cars that are allowed to park there are vehicles that are electric vehicles and being charged, I believe.
But with regard to that, these are EV-ready spots.
Yes, so
We're not indicating that these will actually be EV spots when the building is erected.
well, all right, so the state code does have requirement on that as well. So prior to CO, 33%, or one of the spaces has to be a charger. Following 3 years from the CO, another one needs to be installed, and then within 6 years of the CO, the last one needs to be installed.
So it will be only initially,
One at the
one
beginning.
EV will be
Correct,
in use, and then the other two will come online in accordance with the state statute.
correct. And again, this is all state mandated.
I would just like to go on record that the EV parking spots not be under the building.
Noted.
That is not an issue. Those will be moved. Obviously, we have to talk about the circulation now that we're talking about the change of the driveway. So the moving of the EV spaces will also be part of that redesign.
Thank you.
Any further?
I just want to throw one more comment. I actually do have the property owners list. It's the telephone company, not the water company.
Okay. All right, thank you.
So as you add more EV spots, it reduces the number of overall spots available to commercial and residential. So are we accounting for that over time? And will we still have enough, or will they still have enough?
I could answer this with a philosophical answer. I don't think anybody could really give facts because we don't know what the future's going to hold. But we believe that what the future's going to hold is that more and more people are going to be obtaining EV vehicles. Certainly, up until a very recent time, there were mandates and other things which were leading us down the road to more and more EV. This legislation, these regulations are based upon what that path was. And Councilwoman, we've been involved in a whole bunch of stuff over the years. We've seen all sorts of changes that have gone on. So we can't really anticipate that the EV is going to still be required 3 years from now, but we know it is now. What we believe, again, and I'm going to leave that to Mr. Vinegra at the appropriate time to talk about shared parking arrangements. this is a perfect shared parking arrangement for this site because of this. But the EV spots, when they are dedicated and operating, they will only be for EV, just like a handicap spot is only for a handicapped vehicle. Thank you.
Sorry, one more question. If you can go back to the egress and the end picture, yeah. Can you explain to me again why part of the handicap section would need to be used? If there's a big vehicle there, how does that work for somebody that's trying to?
Yeah, so technically, the handicap, the purpose of the aisle is to facilitate the movement of a ramp or the lift for a wheelchair, so it's not intended for parking.
No, but if there's someone parking that does have that attached to their vehicle.
Yeah, so the turning movement is, both of those movements are not, I guess, static. You don't have the ramp that's down or lift that's down at all times. It's usually done when they have a wheelchair that unloads or loads. And the same thing with the turning movements for the garbage truck. And again, usually the garbage truck doesn't come midday. It's usually a little earlier, off-peak as far as the retail hours.
Okay, but you are considering that space for that type of use?
Yeah, I mean, we can show you how it's being done, how the actual garbage man comes in and does the movement. It's kind of hard to tell them how to do it.
Mr. Frey?
Sir, where would the movers park their truck?
So typically how it works on these smaller sites, they would have to deal with management or the landlord, and usually that's planned ahead, and then they would designate a spot out in the driveway where they will let the tenant downstairs know, and the tenants upstairs know that there's going to be a moving truck that day.
Okay, how about a delivery truck for fast signs? Where would they park?
I don't know what size trucks they get. I'm assuming it's smaller trucks. It's a small retail facility. So I'm assuming it's going to be the same as a FedEx or UPS truck that would come on the site and park temporarily and come off.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions from the board? We'll now go to questions from the public. Yes, if you can please come up to the microphone, speak into the microphone, name, address, and then as the game show Jeopardy is, state it in the form of a question.
Okay. So my name's Tammy Zerka. I live at 231 Newark Avenue. All right, rock on. On the first picture where it shows like the yellow Newark Avenue, Chestnut Street, I am the fifth house on the right from the opposing side of where they are going to be putting the building. So I do have a couple of questions. In any of those pictures, has anyone taken into consideration the current stop sign, the telephone pole, or the fire hydrant? There's a fire hydrant right on the front of Chestnut Street, about 10 feet away from the telephone pole. The telephone pole is on the Newark Avenue side by the stop sign, and if you're going to talk about putting the parking, one way in or one way out, you have those important things right there. And if you're going to go one way in from Newark Ave and another way out onto the other part of Newark Ave, so if, in this little diagram right here, your stop sign is right here, your telephone pole is right here. If you pull in over here and out over here, how is someone going to get that angle to be straight to that stop sign before they make that left or that right onto Chestnut Street? Number one. Number two, if you take that one away, now you're putting more of that traffic up on Newark Avenue. I've lived in Newark Ave since I'm 4 years old, so that's 44 years now. I've owned the house for 25 years. And in the past couple of years, we love our neighbors on Newark Ave. It is an amazing residential area. The little commercial building that we have right there, they haven't bothered anybody in all of these years, but now all of a sudden, Google Maps says that there's a synagogue on New Jersey Avenue, and again, we love our neighbors. Everybody says hi, we're super friendly, but these pictures right here show is there overflow parking going to happen now from the synagogue parking that Google Maps says is there? Where is that overflow parking going to go?
I know there were a bunch of questions in that, so we're going to give him time.
Okay, because
and
I got a
he-
couple more after that.
He might need you to, just
Okay.
restate some of your questions again, just because.
So the first question was about the stop sign, the fire hydrant, and the
I
telephone
think I
pole.
remember
Okay.
most of them, and I think that our council wants to jump in as well, it sounds like. Our council had mentioned earlier that the one driveway curb cut on Newark Ave is going to be eliminated, and we're going to maintain the one on Chestnut Street. Again, I'm not sure what the concern is with the fire hydrant and the items you mentioned, since these are all existing curb cuts, and we're not proposing anything new that would be a new traffic pattern that's not out there today.
We don't really see too many people coming in and out of that Chestnut Street. Everything is onto Newark Avenue. So I don't know.
So that's number one.
Okay.
As far as parking from off-site uses, I believe our council had mentioned earlier, we're going to have signage on the site, that it's only intended for the uses on the site.
Okay, so then my next question would be, how will you enforce the private parking?
That would be up to management.
May I, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Obviously, these are questions that are directed at the engineer, but I am here and I'm more than happy to answer.
You are the applicant's representative.
Thank you. So, number one, with regard to statements that were made with regard to what's going on the property on New Jersey Avenue, while this site is not associated with that site, this site has no obligations, no leases, no licenses or anything with anyone to allow people to park on this site at any time, right? What has been going on? Stop, because of the approvals that are being taken. If there is any issues with regard to this, number one, the applicant is going to authorize the Union Township Police Department to come on site and to enforce Title 39. We don't have to do
Okay.
that, but we're going to do that.
So then my next question would be, are we going to give permit parking to everybody on Newark Avenue for the front of their houses to make sure that nobody else is parking
That
there?
has nothing to do with this site. What this site is going to be self-contained for these two uses that we have indicated here. We are indicating that it is private parking for only those authorized vehicles. Any unauthorized vehicles would be subject to being towed because of that. Now, as far as any other parking that exists relative to this other use that you referred to on New Jersey Avenue, I wish I had an answer for you. I don't, right? But the answer that I'm giving you relative to this property is that, and this has been discussed with the applicant, and I certainly wouldn't be standing here and making these representations to this board if this isn't what I believe has been the agreement. But I am aware of it. Our office is across the street. We still go by Hale and Hale.
Okay.
We didn't put up Jaffa Valley Water.
Love it.
But our offices are right across the street. So I'm very aware of your concerns, of the neighbors' concerns. And as this project had initially been developed, we haven't even discussed it yet, but I'll put it out there. This application had been previously brought before the Board of Adjustment a couple of years ago with a much larger application, which was deemed to be over-intensive, which is why that application did not go forward. And this application that now is as in conformity as it can possibly be with the uses that we were asking for. So that's what we've done, because we do recognize the impact on the neighbors, especially parking. It's a problem. Unfortunately, it's not our problem.
In the form of a question, whose problem is it going to be?
Unfortunately, I can't give you an answer for that, because, again, we're developing this piece of property for the residential and commercial uses. Right now, all you have there are the commercial uses, so there is a void that nobody is parking in that parking lot on Saturdays and Sundays. So that's what apparently has happened. Well, I know, but nobody's parking on the site relative to the use, and that is going to stop. So I give you that.
Thank
Right?
you.
And we understand,
I
we
appreciate
totally
that.
understand where you're coming from on that. And I wish I had a solution to the overparking problem that exists. And we understand it exists late Friday afternoon through late Saturday night.
And again, right now, there's no problem. There's not a problem now because everything is just easy breezy. So, okay, so how will we enforce the parking? Still questioning.
And Madam,
I'm telling you, we're going to limit the parking to authorized vehicles, and we're going to authorize Union Township to come on site. And if a vehicle doesn't have the necessary marking of being an authorized vehicle, they will be cited for being on that property.
On that property, but that's going to push that up to our street and everybody else that's up there. And again, that's not your problem. That's not your problem, but a homeowner for 44 years, well, 25 years for me and 44 years for my family and another 60 years for my grandfather who was down the street. I'm going to be walking all the way down to Washington School when I come home from working road rules driving school after being a teacher all day, and then I'm going to be walking 5 blocks in order to park a car. Yeah, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah, I get it.
But they're not going to enforce it for me. They're going to enforce it for this new lovely building and parking.
No, that's not true. And the mayor's right here. The mayor's right here.
Help us out, Mayor.
This is another conversation. He's going to hold my foot to the fire on this, I'm sure, right?
And ma'am, I think when you asked the question about permit parking, while it's not the jurisdiction of the planning board to authorize it, we do have the mayor and the committee woman here, and I'm sure that they've caught that question in their ear.
Thanks, Mayor and Committee Woman. This is going to be a problem.
Oh, and by the way, they're aware of the problems as they currently exist. What I'm indicating to you is what we're doing here isn't really going to contribute to the problem. The problem exists.
Yes, it's just going to push the problem
Well-
further up Newark Avenue.
Sure, and on another note, all right, up to the board, et cetera, we'd be more than happy to allow additional parking on our site when it's not in use for that overflow. But there has been no agreement, and our position is that unless something dramatically changes, and as you stand here, my wheels are turning, that maybe we should take some of those vehicles and allow them to park there so that they don't take up parking on the street. But again, this is an ongoing relationship.
Okay, it's fluid. I got it.
It's fluid, and we certainly would not have an issue of accepting parking on our site to get it off the street so that it doesn't affect you. But this goes well beyond that, because
Okay.
it's not just the 10 cars that are on our site on Saturdays, right? It's other cars in other places.
Like I said, right now, there is zero problem. But it's the foreseeable situation that's going to be.
September's coming quickly.
Yeah, and I work late, so it's going to affect me.
Okay.
Thank you.
And just note, as we have other expert witnesses coming up, you will have also just like any other member of the public, to ask questions for the architect and the planner and so forth.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, any further questions from the public for the engineer? Yes.
How you doing? Eric O's, 1083 Mayfair Road, Union. Good day, how are you?
Good.
I'm going to grab the mic because I want to kind of point. Could you bring up the exhibit, the site plan that showed the colors, the brown and so on? Yes, please. Okay, so am I to understand that, do you have a structural post here in the striped area for the handicapped?
That's not handicapped, it's EV, but that is.
Excuse me?
It's EV, not ADA parking space.
I'm sorry, pardon me, EV, pardon.
Yes, and that's in the hatched area, so that's not a parking space, correct?
Okay, so it's not a parking space, but are you concerned, can we go back to the vehicular circulation plan? Do you have a concern that as a car is pulling in here, that if possibly in the night or at any other time, they could overshoot and possibly damage the structural support for 2 stories above it?
No, I'll defer to the architect as far as the structure, but usually it's a concrete encased steel column. And as a safety factor, we have no issues providing bollards if that's the concern.
Bollards. Okay,
Yeah,
that's it.
it's not uncommon.
Any further questions from the public? Okay, Mr. Merman, you want to call your next witness, please?
Call Mr. Paladantis.
I'll just give a moment to get his files up.
Mr. Paulodonis, can you spell your name for the record, your last name for the record?
Sure. Paulo Dantas, Paulo's first name, Paulo, Dantas, Dantas.
Oh, dear. Okay. Mr. Dantes, will you raise your right hand? Do you swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to submit Mr. Dantes as an expert. I know he's testified before the board on numerous occasions, both for my firm and for others, and again, recognizing the lateness and what we have to do.
Board stipulates.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Paolo,
Okay.
let's rock.
Sure.
Show us the outside first, then show us the inside.
Very good. So what we're looking to do is provide a three-story unit, three-story building with 5 units of residential apartment above a ground existing commercial building. The main entrance to these residential units will be accessed not only from the side but also at the rear. On our sheet A100 in our exhibit that was provided to the board, the building use group is going to be a mixed use. It's going to have an R2 on the second and third floor, and we'll have a B use office on the first floor. Construction type will be a 5A, and will comply with all the latest building code requirements with sprinklers and fire ratings as necessary. Our ground floor currently is 2,562 of commercial area, and we're looking to take away approximately 505 square feet at the moment in order to provide residential accessibility to the second and third floor.
Can I just have you go back to that from page? I want to go back to the rendering. When I look at the rendering, and now that we've had the discussion with the board about leaving the Chestnut Street driveway open, when this rendering was done, the assumption was made that that driveway would be closed, right?
That's correct.
As a result of what we've now discussed, do you envision having to move the posts from where they are in this rendering?
Yeah, they'll be slightly
underneath the building?
Yes, they'll be slightly have to be altered, the conditions of the structure, but I think that's feasible.
So the plan, as we've indicated with regard to the parking to allow for the circulation to come off Chestnut, you'll be able to accommodate that on redesign of the building just by moving the posts?
Yes, that's correct.
Great. You also heard the question about those posts. I want to get those out of the way right now. There were some questions about how those posts are going to be constructed.
Sure.
Okay, so why don't we lay that out so that the board is...
Sure. There's 2 types of beam construction that we do these posts. Either we do steel columns encased in concrete with a couple bollards, Ms. Manilio explained, or we could encase the whole entire pier as a concrete item, as a monolithic.
So we are accounting for the rare occasion when somebody may strike one of those.
Yes, it will definitely accommodate for the collision if it does happen. Sheet A200 we have is our 2 primary areas. There's a residential entrance to the rear and also to the side, and we also have the existing commercial area currently as it shows. And our residential portion of the ground floor, we're looking to enclose a fire-rated stair, also having accessibility to the 2 residentials above. We're going to have a main vestibule that has accessibility not only to the rear but also to the right, to the underneath of the building towards Newark Ave, which also provides accessibility for an elevator. The commercial portion of the ground floor is existing, and we're looking to also maintain as it is. Our second floor plan, A300, we have 3 residential apartments, one 2-bedroom apartment towards the left side, 1 unit, 2 bedrooms, and then we have 2 units, one bedroom. Along with that, we have an open plan concept, the living, the dining, the kitchen areas, along with the bedrooms, bathrooms, encased mechanical closets, and laundry rooms. We're looking for the 1 bedrooms to be approximately 800 square feet, and then the 2 bedrooms are approximately 1,500 for the 2-bedroom unit. Mechanical rooms have been proposed to house the necessary mechanical systems. All units within the second floor will be ADA compliant. The third floor, we have two-bedroom units, and each apartment, again, will take the same concept as the one below. We have the living, dining, and kitchen area with open plans, the bedrooms, bathrooms, mechanicals. This is also going to be approximately $1,500 per unit, and this also will have all the units to be ADA accessible. In our building elevation, if I could just do it. Let me just go to the building height, so at least we confirm the height. At the top of the parapet, we're looking at 34 feet 10 inches. And then I believe, just give me 1 second. And then we're looking at 31 feet, 31 and 11 inches to the top of the plates, so give it take another foot, 33 feet to the top of the building itself. What we're proposing in our design is to integrate some modern architectural components and elements, incorporating design trends and aesthetics. We're looking to avoid a monolithic look. We are going to have some protrusions and recesses within the building itself. That's to avoid of a continuous structure and create various facade depths. This is intentionally is done not only with recess in the building, but also the material selection and broken down of the facade itself. Some of the materials that we're looking to incorporate is a brick facade that's within the existing already building itself, some fiber cement, clapboard siding, aluminum panels, vinyl windows, doors, aluminum storefronts, and maybe even aluminum windows on the front portion of the building.
You indicated that there's parapet.
A slight small parapet, yes.
Where are the utilities?
So we'll have all the condensing units on top. It will definitely be screened at that point, but all our condensing units will be on top for the
So
mechanical system.
that's really the purpose of the parapet, is to hide the utilities
That's
that
correct.
are on the roof?
Yes, and then these condensing units are pretty small in size. They will be hidden pretty easily.
So, but the roof line itself is at what level compared to the parapet?
The roof line, I think, is about 2 feet lower or 3 feet lower. Give me 1 second just to confirm. So we have our top plates at 32, and we're looking at our top of the roof at 3410.
You are familiar with the Bank of America building that's next door across the street
Yes.
at Newark?
Mhm.
Do you anticipate that this building is going to be any taller than that building next door?
I would have to, I would have to assess it once I see it.
So you haven't been able
But
to
we are,
decide?
yeah, but we are keeping within the 35 feet of these sites.
As indicated by the ordinance, that's
Yeah.
that's it. And the property that was referred to, the dental office, that's a two-story building to the other side?
It's I would say it's more like a 2.5 with a roof pitch on it.
One thing I didn't hear, there are laundry facilities in each of these five apartments?
Within the apartments itself, yes.
Mr. Chairman, I have no further questions of this witness.
Questions from the board?
Sir,
Yes, sir.
when I look at this picture, this rendering,
Sure.
are you going to level the parking lot? Is that leveling the parking lot?
No, I think the way the parking lot is, it's slightly going upwards, and then it kind of levels a little in the back.
You leave
So
the
we're not,
park-
so I'm not looking to regrade the property.
So what is the clearance, the ground clearance?
You're looking for the ground clearance
For the
relative
parking
to the
lot?
overhang?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just wanted to clarify. for
I'm
me.
sorry.
So we're gonna have approximately 10 feet 4 inches.
there's gonna be signage there indicating, we don't want any tractor trailers
Right.
to come in and knock the first floor of our building.
Does this building require a fire escape?
No. It will be fully suppressed.
Okay. Where will the FDC go if it's fully suppressed?
We're looking to have it somewhere, hopefully, either in the back or we're gonna have to pipe it to the front, depending. We have to work with the fire department on that.
Okay.
I still need to, redo the sprinkler system and getting all that system completed, pretty much, and then we'll get that.
Any idea what size orifice that's gonna be for the sprinkler?
No, usually we have our sprinkler engineer to size those things.
All right. And,
But this is just a 5-unit, this is not,
okay. The lights in the parking lot. What are we doing? What's the loom, what's the operating level? How bright are they?
So I think Mr. Manili explained that we're going to provide a lighting plan. A lot of them, especially on the overhang, will be ceiling mounted, and then the ones in the back will be wall mounted. I believe that's the way he proposed. The only signage that we have that may be lit up is the signage of the address and the name of maybe of the building.
What about the light in the parking lot going towards the first house on North Avenue?
That's something that the
I
engineer
think
would
our
address.
engineer is the appropriate person to
Okay,
respond to
all
that,
right.
so
I
since
just
he's
wanna-
still under oath,
All right, I'm just curious how
Yeah,
that's
no.
going to affect
Yeah.
that.
we want to give you your
Yeah.
answer, sir.
So we do have a lighting plan that's shown on our submitted documents. So you can see here, the lighting levels at the property line are 0 with the neighbors, and at the furthest part, I guess about 5 to 10 feet off the property line, it's about 0.3 foot candles, so less than a half a foot candle.
Okay, thank you.
You're
Thank you for that. Thank you.
And you did say there would be an elevator, correct?
Yes, it is.
Any further questions from the, yep, Mr. Frank, go ahead.
How was that accessed? That's in the back for the access for the elevator? Back in the building, we have access to the
Yes.
elevator?
So you could come from the rear of the building and then go through a vestibule and then have accessibility to the elevator there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further questions from the board? Just, this is kind of,
In the front of the building, if you can go back to the diagram.
The rendering?
Yes,
or the-
please, the
okay.
rendering. It says apartments there. Is that, how many, that's going to say apartments?
I'm sorry, say it again?
It says apartments there. Is there anything else going to be on the building? Is that going to,
Oh, you're talking about the sign maybe?
Yeah.
Oh, no, we just wrote, we just wrote apartments and then they'll depict what the name and so on.
Okay.
Sorry. Just giving a proportion of scale
So
for sign.
let's just backtrack. On the rendering, you wrote apartments. On these elevations that you did, go back to the elevations where you identified the building, same spot, it just has 367 on it. You're going to have to go over to the right.
Yes.
There you go.
Mhm.
So that really is what we're proposing, is just to put the building number in the corner there.
Thank
We
you.
don't need to write apartments. This isn't Roselle Park. Did I say that out loud? It's on record now. I guess I can't go back to Roselle Park.
well, hopefully they're not watching, right? Any other further questions from the board? I only have a two-pronged question on my end, but just want to make sure. So my question pertains to the architectural style. Number one, are you familiar with the surrounding area of what architectural styles that they have? And the second part to my question would be, how much of this proposed architectural style either conforms to the surrounding area or makes this stick out?
So the surrounding area that we not only have been in the board to have approvals, have taken this type of aesthetics, and also on the corner of Chestnut and Colonia, I believe, it also has this type of style. So what we're looking at is, does it fit with the existing fabric? But we also have to also consider the trend or the allowance of the trend that's taking place in Union.
Any further questions from the board? Questions from the public? Oh,
Steve?
sorry, let's get Mrs. Perkins in.
Just very briefly, I heard you say that other buildings in Union are like this. Could you give us an example of where you see?
I just mentioned Chestnut and Colonial
Okay.
has
So
that particular.
There's a building, I'm sorry, I don't know that area
Oh, I'm sorry.
specifically well. So there would be what appears to be clapboard, there would be brick, and there would be, I guess, I think you mentioned aluminum or some.
It could be paneling, yes.
Just a follow-up question. This might be more for Mr.
Visually, it's very different.
Yeah.
No, I understand.
This might be more of a follow-up question for Mr. Nave. The mentioning of the, I guess, the building on Chestnut and Colonial that is claimed to have a similar architectural style, that building did not come before the planning board, correct? Because I don't even recall approving that in my 7-8 years on here.
The architectural style, you're saying?
There was a building mentioned in the testimony on Chestnut and Colonial that has a similar
No, but I did
architectural
prove
style.
On Chestnut, they got approved.
Zoning board.
And I don't recall that that building in particular was approved by the planning board. I just want to confirm that on the record with you, that that it wasn't under our jurisdiction.
No, it's under planning board, zoning.
Zoning board, Board of
Zoning board.
Adjustment. Okay. All right, any further questions from the board before we entertain questions from the public? All right, questions from the public? And if you could just cite your name again for the record, just to help with the minutes. Thank you.
Tammy Zerka, 231 Newark Avenue. Again, on this picture right here, my question is about the telephone pole that's not listed on here. There is a telephone pole that is probably, Google shows it a couple feet off of where that driveway is going to be on Chestnut Street, and maybe 2 feet back. So if you're shutting down that first parking spot on the side of Newark Avenue, that means that when people are pulling out, they can't use the under part of that building as a pullout because those are all EV parking spaces, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so then that means they're going to have to go around the building if they're going to use that Chestnut Street exit. That means the cars are going to be on the sidewalk because that telephone pole is right there. And the way that they're going to have to pull out, that should probably only be a right turn only, because they're going to be, if this is how you're pulling out onto Chestnut Street, that telephone pole is going to make them have to pull out that way from where that sidewalk area is. So I think that rendering really should have that telephone pole to show people the true way that cars are going to be pulling in and out. Because that's going to change the whole traffic flow of Chestnut Street, not just Newark Avenue. So the question is, where is the telephone pole to show people how the traffic flow is going to be in and out of that building if we're shutting down the side on Newark and only using the Chestnut Street
I
one?
think that'll be demonstrated on the civil drawings.
Okay.
Any further questions from the public? Okay, Mr. Merman, would you like to call your next witness?
My last witness, our planner, Victor Venegra.
Mr. Venegra, can you just spell your last name for the record?
Yes, my name is Victor, middle initial E, last name Venegra, Vinegra. I'm a professional planner, state of New Jersey, and I've testified before in this board in the past.
Wait. Mr. Venegra, you raise your right hand. You swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Again, I'm an associate with the firm of Harbor Consultants located at 320 North Avenue East in Cranford, New Jersey. I have performed numerous projects in the township of Hillside, and I've testified before this board in the past.
Board stipulates.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Venegro, can you give the board a brief synopsis of the materials that you reviewed prior to testifying here tonight?
Briefly review the architect's plans, the engineer's plans to look at, and the requirements of bulk schedules.
So you reviewed the ordinances and the master plan of this fine township of Union in preparation for your testimony.
Yes.
Could you run through the planning proofs that we need to present to the board with regard to the bulk variances that are presented?
Well, currently, the property, as we know, is located in the NC zone, the neighborhood core zone. And this is a excerpt from your zoning map. We show the 5 points here, and the parcel is located at the corner of Newark Avenue and Chestnut, and this is the parcel I'm highlighting right there, located in the NC zone. And currently, the NC zone, as we all know, permits both commercial on the first floor and residential on the second and third floors. So this is exhibit, I don't know if we're numbering these exhibits tonight, or...
Well, this is going to be applicant 1 because we didn't number any of the
Yeah,
others.
so we'll call this 1 then.
A1.
Let me close some of these other ones out. This is a photo board performed by my firm. It shows the parcel in question. A is the existing frontage of the building. Again, it has a mansard roof, simple structure. B is the side yard. C is the curb cut out to Chestnut. D is the existing parking area. E, existing parking area. F is next door, the grass parcel. G, existing parking area. H is the, I guess it's Bank of America building next door. What this is an odd piece for the neighborhood in that I've performed other projects on Chestnut. This is probably the only property that I know that's overparked with parking spaces. It's almost entirely asphalt, probably built, 50 years ago. It's overparked, vastly overparked. I guess that's why people in the neighborhood here tonight, that because it is vastly overparking spaces, people do utilize that for parking. So as you can see here, that the existing lot here in B is just a sea of asphalt right now. So what the applicant is looking to do is take the mansard roof off that building, build, as the architect has testified, 2 more levels, and to build 5 apartments. And again, in my opinion as a planner, 5 apartments is not a big project, it's a small project. Not everybody, in my opinion, wants to live in a massive 100-unit apartment complex, and some people want a little quieter. It's nice, small, 5 units with an elevator, and it has ample parking. And the residential site improvement standards now state these are no longer minimum space. These are maximum spaces. So really, the facility is 1 space over. In a municipality, we're kind of handcuffed. I'm a planner and engineer for multiple municipalities. And the state has now handcuffed the municipalities and says, we can't require more. That's a maximum now. They changed the language in the RSIS. Used to be a minimum, now it's a maximum. So we're actually 1 space over, the engineer has testified. The one nice thing about what the engineer has done is closing this driveway along Chestnut. So we're removing a driveway, a curb cut.
We've actually just indicated that we were changing. We're going to keep the curb cut. We're going to close the curb cut closer to the
Okay,
Newark by the stop sign.
So we're going to do a 1-way circulation pattern. Is that correct? So the engineer was testifying about a 1-way circulation pattern. So if we're going to do that, I would recommend, possibly, I'm not the engineer in this project, is have the ingress from Chestnut, the egress coming out onto Newark. that would, we'll let the municipal engineer, along with the site design engineer, come up with a circulation movement for those driveways. But no matter what, we are eliminating a single driveway on this project. Close that. This map here shows the building coverages, and I'll go into some of the front yard setbacks of the neighborhood. The firm briefly did an analysis, and this is the property known as
We're going to mark this A2 for the record.
Munchie's Fast Food. And this facility here is approximately 3 to 4 feet from the front right-of-way line. Building next door, we have the two-story structure. That parcel, we have about 4 feet from the property line, 3 to 4 feet. This is the property in question tonight. As we stated, the architect is roughly around 1 foot from the front setback line. Next property up is 3 to 4 feet from the property line. Across the street is Mr. Hale's office. That's 0 feet from the property line. As we go up, we have St. Luke's, which is on the property line, built on the property line. So, and as we go further north along Chestnut, north of Washington Avenue, most of these structures are within a foot or 0 up to the property line. So the older buildings constructed on Washington Avenue are very close to the right-of-way line. It was an old urban design up to the property line, and a lot of the structures north of Washington are very lacking on parking. They were constructed many, many years ago, possibly before there was additional parking requirements within the municipality. It's an older section of Union north of Washington. So we do have a mix of residential and commercial in the neighborhood. Some are single family, 2 families, some are just straight up apartment buildings, some are straight offices. There is a mix of front yard setbacks. This is not uncommon, this building here, with the other buildings in our neighborhood. So right now what we have here tonight is a conforming building as far as use, and they're looking to, again, expand upon the building. The advantage here is that they didn't have to add any additional parking spaces. The lot is large enough to supply enough parking for the uses proposed, which is, again, very unusual for this area. So, in fact, the engineers testified that they're going to reduce the impervious coverage and add some additional green space to the area. So that's going to help slightly in the drainage design. The engineer is going to review that. I saw in the testimony also that about the retaining wall. The retaining wall is on the neighbor's property, and it has a chain link fence on top. What the engineers testified that he could put a solid fence, which is a good recommendation, to match the height of the fence next door, not to exceed the height. So I think a stepped fence next door to match the height so it looks in keeping with the neighborhood. Again, that would help with headlight glare. So if there is a bit of headlight glare, would be captured above that wall. Again, it's not the applicant's wall, it's the neighbor's wall. It looks in good condition, it has weep holes in it. So, and we can do an aesthetic boundary fence that's solid. Again, because that fence there now steps, because the wall steps up, as the engineer testified, to about a height of average of 4 feet. He can match that with his new barrier wall there. That would, again, control any headlight glare. Also, the engineer designed a plan that any glare from the proposed lighting go away from the homes. The new modern lights are LED. The engineer designed a lighting plan that has the lights illuminating towards Chestnut, not towards the house on Newark. So,
Mr. Vinell, you heard the outline by the engineer, did you not, as to the bulk variances that are being required for this project? Could you just run through those and give us the
Yeah, I'll just go, again, where the property in question is number 367 Chestnut Street in the neighborhood core. It's existing one-story commercial building with a mansard roof. We're proposing three-story building, 20 existing spaces that are kind of mishmash on the site. There are 3 curb cuts along Newark Avenue, 1 on Chestnut. The proposed development is 5 units, and the unit sizes are quite nice. They're not overly small. So I think the architect did a good job of not trying to, he could have probably tried to add additional unit, make it 6, but he didn't, because the apartment's a pretty good size. The ability, what's nice about an apartment, the apartment density for parking ratios is about half that is office. So if you have 1 per 300 square foot for office, these apartments are, some of them are 1,200 square feet. If that was an office space, it would need almost triple the parking, so, or double the parking. So the beauty of having an apartment with only 2 spaces per apartment is that it's less, it has a lower parking requirement than office. So if the applicant was to come here with a 3-story office, it would need much more parking than 2 levels of apartments above 1 level of commercial. So what we have here is, it's a C variance. I'm going to say both, there's 2 different levels of C variances on this application, both a C1 and a C2. The C1 is the hardship because there's certain things that cannot be expanded upon, or it's a pre-existing nonconformity with the lot. And the C1 variances are going to go to minimum lot area. Required in the zone is 15,000 square foot. The existing building is a little less than 12,000. The existing lot is a little less than 12,000 square foot. Minimum lot width required within the zone is 150 square feet, 150 feet, existing 100 feet. So we're 50 feet short, again, pre-existing nonconformity. Maximum impervious coverage per the zone, 80%, existing, it's 98%, and the engineer is bringing that down a few percentage points with the new plan with adding some landscaping. Minimum front yard in this area is 10 feet, existing is about an inch short of 1 foot. Minimum side yard, 10 feet. Existing is a couple of inches. It's really 3 inches from the side. I do like what the architect's doing on the proposed new variances for the new building. On the side yard, they're pulling it into 4.9 feet, which is, so the second and third story aren't in line with the existing building, so he's giving it some distance in. And by doing that also, it permits all windows on that side. Because normally with building codes, you're 3 foot 1 inch to have an apartment. So by pulling that second floor in, now we can have glass for all those apartments along that window. That's really a benefit for the users. The other, again, front yard setback is 10 feet. Again, I think, you know, it really aesthetically much more pleasing to have the front in line with the front instead of having the first floor sticking out and pulling the back in. And again, it's a board opinion. The architect, I think, did a pretty good job, very good job, of matching the front. I think if you tried to pull the front in, I think it really makes the building look a little chopped up. But that's my opinion as a planner, which we do some downtown planning also.
Mr. Vinegra, under the standards that we have to present before the board, we're required to show the board 2 separate standards. First is the positive criteria
Well,
for the
first, let me
granting of
finish.
the bulk
We also
variance.
have a couple other. We have building coverage. The maximum permitted in the ordinance is 30%. The existing is 25.8%. Proposed, we're at 35%. When we did look at the neighborhood, so we have a 35% proposed building coverage. There are many lots in the area that have, within a block on Chestnut, we have Lot 9, which is Mr. Hale's office, at 40% lot coverage, which exceeds ours. Again, we're at 35. We have another lot, 36%. We have one at 63%, 35%. There's a number, and I'll enter this as evidence with the testimony, that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 lots in the general area that exceed the coverage of this lot. Again, they're older lots, it was developed quite some time ago. So the building coverages on these lots exceed what we're proposing here today. So that is in essence meets the neighborhood, what we're looking to achieve in a neighborhood. And again, this is a permitted use in the zone. So when we go further, maximum impervious coverage permitted is 80%. Existing, we have it's 99%, knocking it down 2 percentage points to 96.7. Landscape buffers, 6% or fence. As I testified right now, we're proposing a solid fence to match next door. And also that retaining wall is a bit discolored. It's old cement block, looks like old cinder block. And again, it's not ours to touch. We can't go in there and spackle over it. So, but we can hide it a little bit and to match the existing fence height. We also go loading zones. 1 is required, 0 is proposed. So that's it for the variances. Design waivers, parking setback from the property line we testified to already. Required 10, 1.5 proposed. Parking from residential zone, 10, 1.5 proposed. 24-foot aisle, as the engineer testified, you can achieve the 24-foot aisle. That gives you ample backup space. Parking spaces, as the engineer testified, he does have the overhang in the majority of the parking spaces. They're 9 by 18, and for the most part, the majority of parking spaces meet the overhang requirements. Until the testimony from your planner tonight, the master plan referred to this area as references for smart growth. It envisions in 2021 the future growth and development in Union will come from maintenance, revitalization, and redevelopment of existing landscape. This is exactly that. It's redevelopment of an existing corridor, of an existing site that's almost 100% impervious, and that this building will meet the ordinance and will also meet a lot of the issues within the ordinance. So it's, again, a smaller building. It really relates more to, I think, some of the local businesses, people who are employed by the local businesses who do not want to live in a large building can again rent in this building and walk to work. Because again, this is a mixed community. There is some multifamily, there are some offices, and there are some mixed buildings. So in your goals of your master plan, on page 62, mixed-use development, transit-oriented development, increased accessibility of retail shopping and services, restaurants and office spaces to residents of all incomes and ages. And page 62, the land use element seeks to promote smart growth. In your goals of your master plan, to maintain the character of existing residential neighborhoods. Again, this is residential in an area which is a mixed zone. Provide adequate parking, which the site does. Again, the positive criteria, we meet it because we are permitted use in the permitted zone. We are mixed use in the mixed use zone. The bedroom sizes are nice. I think they're quite large. The one bedroom units at 28 square feet is a nice square footage. I think the scale meets the neighborhood. Again, the third story, there's only 1 or 2 buildings that are that large. The office building further up on Chestnut is 3-story, and where the cafe is it's a 3-story. There's 3 stories of residential, kind of mixed-moshed way it was built, but there are some 3 stories in the neighborhood, but further north on Chestnut. Again, we meet the parking. I have the EV's a statement. I have EV. My office has an EV parking spot. When cars aren't charging, I try to keep it open. Employees can park there. You know, what's nice about the EV, somebody within the building who works there can charge. I think it's a good idea to move the EV space outside, not from under the building, where the handicap is, in case you have to service the charger or in case something happens, as we all know that has happened. I haven't had any issues, but there have been issues, and I do work with fire departments and other municipalities of trying to figure out ways to have these lithium situations that arise. And the best situation is not have it under a building. The engineer's going to move the EV spaces. And parts of the municipal land use law for the positive criteria is A, to encourage municipal action to guide appropriate use and development of all lands in the state, to promote the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare, and G, to provide sufficient space in appropriate locations for a variety of agricultural, residential, and recreational use. Again, we are permitted to do the residential and residential zone. I, to promote desirable visual environment through creative development. I think right now, it's just my opinion, an old dated office building with old dated roof, an entirely developed parking lot with no landscape. I think this is an improvement aesthetically, in my opinion, from what's there already. And the negative criteria, the vast majority of the variances are pre-existing conditions. We comply with the density and FAR requirements. We comply with the parking. We will do some enhancements, some ground landscaping, and we feel there's no substantial impairment intent to the purposes of the zone plan and zoning ordinance. And that's, if you have any questions.
I have no further questions of this witness.
Okay. Thank you. Questions from the board?
I just have one question. So the fence that you're proposing to put against the retaining wall, can you just, I'm not clear on what that's going to look like. Is it going to be in front of the?
It's going to be a white vinyl fence right
But-
on the edge of the retaining wall. It's going to have the same height as the retaining wall fence, and it will gradually come down. We haven't designed it yet. This is the first time we talked about it, but that is the concept.
I just spoke with the architect. I think we want to go maybe with an off-white, because the white fences are very stark, in my opinion, the vinyl white.
But it's going to be the vinyl fence.
It's going to be a solid fence to
then my
match the...
follow-up question is, is there an impact to the size of the parking spaces?
No.
Okay.
Because it's going to be on the other side of where the wheel stops are located, so it's not going to affect the actual parking.
Okay.
Yeah, what's going to be, we're going to put it right up against the other, so we don't, the biggest problem I have sometimes is if you put a fence next to a fence, you get a tree, a weed growing between.
Yeah.
We're going to move it as close as we can up to the property line, so we don't have...
There, right?
Right, so it'll be more or less abutting where the cinder block wall is. Again, that wall's been there, again, that looks like about a 50-year-old wall. It's still good, it's structurally sound, it's been there for quite some time.
I have a question relative to something that I don't believe was mentioned. I know it's been a lot of time spent in conversation. You talked about a private carter to come in to remove trash. Is there a trash enclosure?
Yes, the trash enclosure was testified to earlier by the engineer.
Pardon me.
That it's located, if we could, on the site plan, can we pull that up, John,
I believe
please?
I saw it, but no one,
I just want to make sure it's enclosed.
I don't think we discussed it very much, we just pointed out where it was. It was not a very large discussion. I don't like to talk about garbage too much. But the one thing that we did do in the
5
design...
apartments, there will be trash.
There will be trash, there's always going to be trash, but the one thing that we did do is we moved that closer to the building, so that, and here it is right there, right?
Yes, on the northwest corner.
I saw that on the plan. I understood that it was,
But we did make sure, we wanted to make sure that it was not going to affect the neighbors in any way. It is up against the basically vacant property that is actually still listed under New Jersey Bell Telephone.
wow.
Yeah, go find them, right?
Right.
So it's next to that basically vacant property, and it has no impact on the neighbor to the...
And I believe that it will be enclosed,
Yes.
certainly, and rat-proof. I'm kidding.
As best as we could do. It's going to comply with all required ordinances from both the Board of Health as well as any other ordinances that would apply.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And if you're closing one of the entrances, is it going to impact the ability to get to that?
No,
And
because the entrance that we're closing is the one closest to the corner.
Okay.
The entrance that's proposed for the truck movement is the one furthest in on Newark Avenue. So that's the most impact that we would see onto Newark Avenue would be the garbage truck.
Thank you.
Any further questions from the board? Questions from the public? If you could just state your name and address, please.
Jennifer Acevedo, 226 Newark Avenue.
Okay.
So there's two pedestrian crosswalks right in the corner there. There's one crossing Newark Avenue and then one crossing across Chestnut. With this now 3-story building going very close to the corner, is that going to block vision for people crossing that crosswalk? Because it's already a pretty dangerous crosswalk crossing across Chestnut there.
I would say no. Again, the crosswalk, again, is up against the curb line.
But on the other side.
So
Like-
both sides, because, again, when you pull up with your vehicle, you have a stop bar.
Yeah.
There is a stop bar there, and you see the crosswalk. It's painted as a crosswalk. You can have a 50-story building there. I mean, we do in urban areas. So, no, it will not obstruct the crosswalk.
It's not going to make it any less safe for people trying to cross?
I would say no.
Okay. Okay.
Any further questions from the public? Okay. Mr. Merman?
Mr. Chairman, I think I spoke way too much today. I'm going to submit, I think the board's heard the testimony. I don't think I need to run through and restate everything that the board's heard. I think we've met our burdens of proof with regard to the variances. You heard Mr. Granaglia testify as to the positive and negative criteria with regard to that. So we've met our burdens of proof on the variances.
Finally.
The issue is site
No
plan. I
straight
think
in
that
the
the
sand.
suggestions that have been made by the board are valid, and we accept them, and we're going to implement them. We're going to work with your engineer on the redesign of the parking lot so that it would meet the requirements, obviously, what we've all testified here to tonight. So we would have no problem with certain conditions being placed in the resolution of approval relative to these agreements that we've made this evening. And certainly, I will entertain, if there are other suggestions that the board would have, my client is here, and we certainly would entertain any additional suggestions. So far, I haven't heard one suggestion that I've rejected. So I think you guys are doing well. That's not the way this is supposed to work. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
All right. We will now go to comments from the board.
No comments.
I do have some general comments, just looking at the application holistically as a whole. And I know that there are various variances being requested. I know that there is an existing variance with regards to a less than a feet for the front yard variance, front yard setback. The intensification of having a 3-story concerns me on a basis of open air space concern, especially if you're taking into account that frontage, especially if you're taking into account that this is a building of a newer architectural style that might stand out. I think if you tie that also in with the fact that you have a 3-story that have I think five or so units combined with the commercial that puts forth these demands for parking, I think where there is much more flexibility to reduce potential detriments to the community, and also considering, and I'm trying to even reconcile the presentation that we just had and to better meet our master plan goals and the mentioning of reduction of building heights and things of that nature. I think there's so much more flexibility if the proposed building was, it's still mixed use, I mean that's just grandfathered in, but there's so much more flexibility, and I think the public's concerns and some of the concerns that I have about open space and light and air, if it was a 2-story building, which has more flexibility with the parking, the maneuvering of the parking, and some of the potential safety concerns that the public would have. That's where I am with that, but I will also allow the board to provide some of their comments as well. Okay. We will now go comments from the public.
You've been very patient.
My name is Dagmar, Dagmar, and last name is Porfirio, Porfiro, and I live at 226 North Avenue as well. My family's owned that house on North Ave for over 60 years. Over time, the character and design of the neighborhood has remained the same, preserving the charm and sense of community that makes that area so special. We have the bank located on North Ave, the shopping center across the street, remain largely unchanged throughout the decades. We all support those businesses over there down on Chestnut Street. The consistency of the testament of the careful planning and zoning guidelines that Union has established to maintain this cohesive and pleasant environment in our corner of the town in the Five Points area. What used to be a quaint little real estate office has become, bring this up again, sorry, an unregulated parking lot for 212 New Jersey Avenue. On a regular basis, it's just not Friday and Saturdays, there's 10 to 20 vehicles parked in that parking lot. Vans, I've seen trucks there, I've seen a cargo van, I've seen school buses parked there. Some of them remain overnight. I've even seen the parking lot used as almost like a flea market twice. People having shopping carts, shopping for products in that parking lot. So I don't know, these activities were not related to the businesses there. So they seem to violate the intended use of the property. So with this variance request and the applicant seeking to add 5 apartments on top of it, it's already a problematic and mismanaged site. So where are those people going to park? Where is this all going? So once these residents move in, the businesses will be open. These vehicles will need to find an alternative parking spot. And as my friend brought up, we don't have parking on North Ave for this. So, and there's not parking on New Jersey Ave for it either. So, who's gonna maintain that? So for us, we all use our street parking on that block. So, even though those parking requirements are being met, a lot of several design waivers, such as reduced setbacks, the absence of a loading zone, undersized parking spaces, are necessary to achieve that. Granting these variances would be a troubling precedent, potentially opening the door to other further exceptions that weaken the zoning regulations designed to protect our community over there. I know I speak for several of my neighbors when we say we don't want it to turn into Union Center. We don't want the 3-story buildings over there. It's just not what we do. It's not what it is over there. So I respectfully urge the planning board to deny the request of the variances and uphold the current zoning standards. I agree that there is a lot of parking there and something needs to be done with that lot. I mean, it's something, you could do something to it, but I just think it's just too much. Newark Ave is a busy street. I don't know if anybody's ever been down there, but we have people fly down that street. Those crosswalks are problematic. There's people, I try to cross that street all the time. We all do. We go over to the shopping center. So, just something needs to be done. That's all. Just thank you for your time.
Thank you. Yes, please.
That's my promise.
No, the floor is yours.
Still Tammy Zerka, 231 North Avenue. I just replaced my garage. My house was built in 1926. We've owned it since 1982. Back in 1926, the codes were a lot different. So my original garage was pretty much on property lines. And I, as we replaced it, had to get my permits, had to go through all of the zoning codes and make sure that we were set back from everybody else's areas. I would have loved to have had a bigger garage that was still maintaining the same lines that were originally put forth in 1926. I understand things change, but I would have liked to have had a bigger garage, still with some of the lines that were there before, but I had to follow the codes. And those codes, like my best friend said, are set forth for a reason. So again, and other pictures that were shown, and I know it sounds trivial, but that telephone pole was not listed in any of those pictures. And if we're now saying that that's going to be a one-way in and a one-way out, that really needs to be shown to show how this is really going to affect that traffic on Newark Ave, on Chestnut Street, and for people pulling in and out of that building. And again, I do urge that we try to keep our little corner of the world as is, and if you want to go up 2 floors, that's fine, but we still have to find a way to work that parking, and we still have to find a way to get that traffic flow. Because at the last meeting we were at, they were talking about another building over on Morris Avenue with lights and crosswalks and other things, and that became a big question there. Right now, there is nothing that's saying how this is even going to flow now if we shut down that one part of Newark Avenue from the ins and outs without even showing where that telephone pole is, with the stop sign right next to it. So thank you again for your time. Have a great night.
Thank you. Any further comments from the public? Okay. Mr. Berman, if you want to rebut or provide it?
I just need to correct the record.
Okay.
We did not indicate one way with regard to the driveways in any way, shape, or form. What we indicated was we were not going to be closing the Chestnut Street driveway now, and we were going to close the first driveway on Newark Avenue to make sure that there was no movement onto Newark Avenue that would interfere with the stop sign and that. So I don't want the board to think that we've agreed now to a design of one way in, one way out. That's not what we had indicated. What we indicated is that we're going to have to redesign the parking lot to accommodate now, because this design had Chestnut Street closed. That's the way we presented it, based upon the board's comments. We certainly can continue, and we would feel very comfortable moving forward with the plan as originally proposed, but we are trying to accommodate, obviously, the concerns of both the board and the public with regard to this intersection. There's really not much for me to say with regard to this, Mr. Chairman. I think we have presented the necessary information for the board to reach its conclusions, and I appreciate everyone's time, recognizing the lateness of the hour. I don't want to take up any more.
Okay, all right, thank you. So I think with that, just want to open the floor for any further comments from the public. Okay. Is there a motion to approve the application? Or does this board need to move to adjourn or table it potentially just to give it additional thought? I don't hear a motion. So.
I need to make a motion, yes. I think that the testimony has been significant, important. I think that certain concessions, if you will, have been made. I understand the desire to build this property into something that's much more recent. Visually, I would personally prefer a 2-story building. However, the variances are minimal and the height does comply, and therefore I would like to move that we accept and pass the
You can speak up.
yes, excuse me, I'm sorry. Yeah, I believe that we need to accept and pass the application 367 Chestnut, block 1019, lot 15.
Okay. There's a motion by Mrs. Perkins. Is there a second?
I'm sorry, Chairman, I didn't hear the motion.
The motion was made to approve by Mrs. Perkins.
Was to approve. Okay, thank you.
And I guess it's the planning board number 2024-07.
Is there a second? I don't hear a second. I think we're a little bit at a standstill here. I think there is some reservations from the board.
Can I second?
You are a member of the board, so you can second. Okay.
Oh, you're seconding the motion to approve?
Okay.
Okay.
Seconded by Committeewoman Terrell. Okay. We'll do a roll call.
Mr. Alexander?
Yes.
Mr. Frame?
No.
Ms. Perkins?
Yes?
Mayor Bowser?
Yes.
Committeewoman Terrell?
Yes.
Ms. Kalid?
No.
Chairman Lay?
Abstain.
Okay.
What's the vote tally?
It's 4 in favor and 2 opposed,
And then
and 1 abstention.
Okay. Mr. Pasquale, is that affirmative vote?
That is.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'll wait for the resolution.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Chairman, can I get a 2-minute recess? I have the next application. I don't know if you want to address the application behind me, seeing it's almost 9:30.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
All
I'd
right.
like to ask for a 5 to 7 minute recess, please.
Yes, we will recess for 5 minutes, and we will come back at 9:31.
There's a lot of drama. It seems it's going to be like this with every application. Okay. That's the first time we've had yays and nays. Usually yay, 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 so. It's okay.
The board has resumed session from recess at 9:38 p.m. Can I call, if I could just grab my agenda, can I call the representative for, sorry,
Drawback.
Drawback? Yeah.
Good evening, folks. Nino Coviello representing Drawback application. Given the agenda, and I don't want to make it a long night for you folks, I guess we're going to carry this to
August 28th.
meeting. I don't plan on noticing anyone, and hopefully you'll put that on the record.
That's fine.
Greg, if there's an extension necessary, which I don't think is required just yet, but we'll grant it if necessary. I just want to make sure we have a quorum on the 28th.
Yeah, we do.
I'm pressing against some contract issues.
Yeah, I do.
And I know it's a summer month, and I don't want to impose upon you folks, and I appreciate you being here in July and more particularly for August. But I'm hoping also that, I understand that there's an application before us, something to do with a chicken restaurant or something like that, I guess?
That would be after you. It would be after you. It'd be after you.
I just want to make sure that I'm the next, you have an ongoing application. Once that's completed, I want to make sure I go next, only because I'm pushing against some issues.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep. Can we get a motion to adjourn the application without further notice for August 28th?
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Perkins. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mrs. Khaled. Roll call, please.
Mr. Alexander?
Yes.
Mr. Frame?
Yes.
Ms. Perkins?
Yes.
Mayor Bowser?
Yes.
Committeewoman Terrell?
Yes.
Ms. Kalid?
Yes.
Chairman Lee?
Yes. All right,
Thank
we're
you,
all set.
folks. Enjoy the rest of July.
Thank you, and thank you for your time, and thank you for your patience. Can we get the representative for application 33 Montclair Avenue?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Stephen H. Merman, appearing on behalf of the applicant. I'm going to avoid saying the name of the firm. Mr. Hale kicked my butt before because I got it wrong. So, all right, well, it happens every once in a while. Thank you again. I'm going to make this one very quick. This is a minor subdivision application. Tonight we have two witnesses to present to you. I have Jay Badish and Robert Hudak, both from Insight Engineering and Planning. Jay's going to do the engineering testimony. Bob's going to do the planning testimony relative to the C variances that we have. We have just presented to the board an exhibit that was prepared today. Jay, why don't you identify what that exhibit is, and we'll mark it right now before we start the application.
Sure. So this is the lot size exhibit dated today, 7/24/25, no revisions.
Okay.
Call it A1.
Okay. With that, Mr. Chairman, I will call Jay Badish as our first witness.
Okay. Can we swear in the witness, please?
Greg.
Mr. Pasquale?
Can you raise your hand? You swear the testimony about to give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
So I'm Jeremy Badish, B-A-T-T-E-S-H, professional engineer with Insight Engineering, 1955 Route 34, Wall, New Jersey. I'd like to be qualified as a professional engineer. I have 14 years engineering experience, Bachelor's of Science in Civil Engineering from the University of Buffalo. I've been a professional engineer for 8 years in New Jersey. I have not appeared before this board, but I have appeared before several others, Roselle Park, Hillside, Garfield, East Rutherford.
Board stipulates. We're all good. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jay, why don't you, well, first off, since we gave them this exhibit, why don't we explain the exhibit, and then we'll get into the application itself.
Sure. So hopefully this is a relatively simple one. The property is in the RB residential zone. It's zoned for 1 and 2 family properties. The requirements for the lot width and lot depth are 50 feet wide and 100 feet deep. The existing property is currently 88.58 feet deep, so slightly short, and 94.1 feet wide. So where we need 50 feet wide, we have 94. I'm going to leave all the other issues to our planner to discuss, but really the crux of this application is striking a line from down the middle of this property that subdivides it from one property that's almost twice the size it needs to be to two properties where the existing house that's there today will remain. It's going to have a 50-foot wide frontage on the existing house, so that's in conformance with the zoning requirements. The new lot will be 44 feet wide. That is slightly smaller than what's required by the zoning ordinance, but we think it matches the zone more appropriately. The intent of this exhibit shows the subject property in green with the lot line down the middle where we're proposing to subdivide. And it just gives a nice graphical representation on the tax map, how it fits with the neighborhood. On Montclair Ave itself, so this is 33 Montclair Ave. Just on our side of the street, on the east side of the street, there's 7 other properties just on our through street, that part of it, that have undersized lot widths as well. You're right, 8, sorry. So it does conform, fits nicely with the neighborhood.
Right. Why don't we throw up our survey so we could show the board how this property is going to be subdivided, what the current conditions are.
Sure. So this is
right. There currently is a house on the property.
Yes. So this is submitted on the minor site plan that was part of the application package. This shows the existing property on the left, the proposed condition being just the subdivision on the right side of it. Talking through the existing, this property has a home driveway. It actually has 2 curb cuts along the 94-foot of frontage. The second part of the property has a driveway and a parking area on it currently. That's the portion that will be the new lot. We did confirm with the tax assessor, if this is approved, it'd be 19.01 for the new one, 19.02 for the existing. I say this is simple because we're not proposing any improvements at this time. This is simply just to create a new lot on a property that's almost twice the size of what it needs to be to match the rest of the neighborhood. It's essentially an infill project. The other variances that Bob's going to talk about, our planner, are relative to setbacks, lot coverage, lot area, the lot depth. The majority of those are existing. Again, this really just creates one lot. The bulk of it really comes down to the lot width being 6 feet shorter than what's required by the ordinance. So
if you run just through there are no variances, or are there variances with regard to the lot that is going to keep the existing structure?
So the existing structure still does have variances that are associated with it. As outlined in the engineering review letter, the majority of them are existing nonconformities or existing variances. So the proposed lot 1902 is one that maintains the house. It's going to be slightly under on the size because of the depth. The front yard setback, or the front yard width, will comply. No changes on anything. The side yard setback for the garage decreases because the garage is essentially in the center of the property. From the new property line, it's 5.8 feet. Still complies. It's 3 feet required, so we're still compliant there. Regarding building coverage, since the new lots have the smaller area as a base of reference, no improvements are proposed. There's no change to the square footage, but with the smaller lot area to divide it by, those do go up. Building coverage, can't get this thing all the way. I just want to move. The building coverage goes up to 27.8%, still compliant underneath the 40. The impervious coverage, however, it will be slightly over. Using the smaller area for the lot, it'll be 72%, where 60 is permitted. Our goal is really minimal disturbance on this lot. We don't want to change it. We just want to make a new lot that fits in. The applicant has owned this for almost as long as I've been an engineer, and his goal is to build a house on it, and him and his kids are looking at talking to architects, trying to come up with designs, and this is really the first step in their journey, is to really create this lot next door to their existing home.
Jay just stole my best special reason out of the put before the board. Well, Jay, I'll put it out right now. It was the desire of my client to subdivide his property and build a second house next to his own for his family. His family is expanding. 2 of his sons are sitting with him right now. He already has grandchildren. He's been a 40-year resident, is that what I heard, of Union, or 20? 22-year resident of Union, and he wants his family to stay in Union and that's the purpose for this subdivision. I just wanted to get that right out there. Of course, Bob will testify as to special reasons later for the variances, but I think the board needs to know that this is an applicant who's not doing this to sell this lot. This is not a money grab. Thank you. Jay, the second lot, the newly created lot, I see on the zoning chart as you have it up here, a whole bunch of N8s, right?
Yes.
All right. Purpose of this is we do have, and let's show them the second lot, we have set out the building envelope, have we not, on this this subdivision map?
Yes, so
All right, so let's go over what the building envelope is going to be and how that will affect these two properties and the neighboring properties.
Sure, so the property on the left, existing home, not touching it, not disturbing it, keeping it as is and peaceful. The lot on the right is the new one. Once the applicant has a design for the house, he's gonna have to go through the normal channels, submitting for zoning, being reviewed by the town, getting all the permits. He doesn't have the plans now, so we're not showing anything, but it will go back to the township as far as approvals go. There's an existing driveway on there. Parts of it are obviously gonna have to be removed in order to accommodate the new dwelling. There's curb cut that's existing today. The engineering review letter hit on everything that it needed to regarding backfilling for, road opening permits, utility connections for the new dwelling, backfilling for that, any stormwater requirements. There's one thing that I did call Colliers to confirm. It says to do a seepage pit on both lots. I think it should just be for the newly created one and the new improvements because nothing's changing on the existing one. We're not adding any additional impervious coverage on that part of it. So I'd agree to work with the engineer to come up with the seepage pit, the drywall requirements for the 1 inch of rainfall over the roof area. Nothing else stood out as far as being an issue with it. Everything will comply with everything else. Permits, soil erosion, hopefully exemption under 5,000 square feet. And then providing the deeds to the township to review before filing with the county, should this be approved.
Mr. Chairman, I have no further questions of this witness.
Questions from the board?
Sir, on the vacant property that they want to sell, what's the difference, what's the distance between that vacant property and the nearest structure? How far are they from away?
Don't have the dimension to the neighbor's house, but we are showing the 5-foot setbacks that are required for the side yard setbacks, so those will be a requirement as far as the new structure goes. It will have to comply with the side yard setback requirements, front and rear also.
Thank you.
What's the square footage on the proposed structure?
The structure is not designed yet, so it's going to be limited by the building coverage and the setback envelopes, really the building envelopes that he can build in, but that will go back to the town ultimately for a zoning permit as far as the review goes to ensure compliance with the ordinance. I think I figured it's roughly, the buildable envelope, I think is like 1,500 square feet or so, once you take into consideration the setbacks, which would really just be one floor of a house.
But that would be basically one level, so if it was a 2.5-story building, you can multiply based upon that what the maximum square footage would be for the structure itself, because it would take into account, obviously, all for total square footage. But the envelope itself is 1,500 square feet.
Okay.
Any further questions from the board? Questions from the public? Hearing none. Next witness.
Mr. Bob Hudak.
Can we swear in the witness?
Mr. Hudak, will you swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Do you want me to state my credentials?
Yes, please.
Okay. Bob Hudak, I was here last night, in fact, that's why.
I did that intentionally, Mr. Hudak. Could you please give the board the benefit of your education and professional background?
Absolutely. I've been a planner now for over a dozen years. I work for Insight Engineering. I served as a municipal planner and representing private clients throughout that time. Most recently is last night here before the
Board stipulates.
The zoning board, sorry.
Proceed.
Mea culpa.
All right. Could you just tell the board what you reviewed in preparation for your testimony here today?
Yeah, I reviewed all of the plans that have been submitted, all of the exhibits. I also reviewed the master plan and the municipal ordinance.
You've heard Jay outline the variances that we need. You also discussed the, I'll use the term adaptive reuse of the existing structure as being one of the guiding factors behind where the subdivision line was drawn.
Yes.
So from a planning perspective, could you just do an analysis of this particular property?
I have quite a bit of testimony here. I'm going to try to shorten it up significantly, but essentially with respect to the C1 variances we're seeking tonight, I noted that there are a number of existing nonconformities, as Jay had pointed out. You have the principal building front yard setback, you have the side yard setback and the rear yard setback for the building that is going to be existing on lot .20. Those are not to change, however, because you have a new lot, you need new variance relief. So I argue under the C1 criteria, the hardship criteria, that these can be granted. Specifically, because the existing shape of the lot dictates the depth of the two lots to be created. We can't acquire more land from adjoining properties. Everything else is developed. And because we're intending on keeping the existing house and accessory structures, hence there is a practical difficulty. As noted in the Harlow case, the existing structures represent a unique condition affecting the lot, and removing these structures would present a practical difficulty. Thus, I feel those variances can be granted under C1. Under C2, these are cases where the benefits outweigh the detriments, where the proposal is better for the community than the zoning requirement, where the purpose of the MOUL will be advanced. I offer that the first benefit is the efficient use of land, utilizing the oversized lot, as you've heard, to accommodate housing within an already developed area. The master plan notes that, quote, to preserve the integrity of single and two-family home neighborhoods by preventing the intrusion of more intense uses. In fact, we're actually providing a permitted use on this lot. We're taking an existing lot that has a, if you will, I don't want to say it's non-conforming, it's used as parking right now, and we're cleaning it up, so to speak, by putting a new home on that property. Also, as was noted earlier, Exhibit A1, you can see 8 out of those 21 lots are undersized. Significantly, the 2 lots to the south of our lot are about 36 feet in width each. So there are a number of these undersized lots in the area. It's not like we're creating something that's out of character entirely. Also, because it is infill development, which both your master plan and the state development and redevelopment plans support, we're providing housing in an area where we're leveraging the existing the lot, the existing infrastructure. We have an existing curb cut. It's not like we're going to eliminate parking. There is no parking allowed on that side of the street, but there is an existing curb cut. We don't usually find that, but we have that situation here. And the lot, the building that we are proposing, if you will, although we don't have the architecturals, but what our intention is, the building on lot 19.01 will conform to all of the bulk requirements. So we're not looking for any variances for that building at this time. The only variances with respect to the buildings are the existing nonconformities on lot 19.02. So just to reiterate, we advance the purpose A, the general welfare purpose of zoning, because the proposal offers a better zoning alternative, serving the community's general welfare by proposing housing opportunities that are consistent with the neighborhood's character and our infill development. Purpose E, the appropriate population densities. Overall population results in appropriate and compliant development consistent with the current neighborhood. And purpose I, the desirable visual environment, because we are making a significant improvement to the area. And also I'd argue under the criteria outlined in the Grasso versus Spring Lake case, we're preserving property values, which is also noted as a goal of zoning. So in my opinion, the variances can be granted under the C2 criteria. Of course, you can't simply grant a variance under the positive criteria. You also have to take into account the negative criteria, that the proposed development will not cause substantial detriment to the public good, nor in the intent of the zoning plan and zoning ordinance. And I argue that there are no real significant detriments. We're maintaining the existing home on lot 19.02, which won't affect any of the existing non-conforming setbacks on the lot. The proposed subdivision will create a lot that will better fit within the neighborhood in spite of the nonconformities. There's no impairment, in my opinion, to the zone plan and zoning ordinance, because we are actually fulfilling the goals of the master plan. So I believe our proposal can be, the variances we're seeking can be granted under the C1 and C2 criteria, as I outlined it. Does that quick enough?
Thank you. Mr. Merman, do you have any questions?
I certainly have no further questions.
Okay. Questions from the board? Questions from the public? I assume we're good with the summation here. We can proceed with the board with any general
We
comment?
can, as long as the board accepts the representation from me of my client's intent, otherwise I can have my client come up and indicate to the board, as I had indicated, that his intent is not to sell this lot, but to gift it to his family.
I think that suffices. Just a very short statement. With a minor subdivision, obviously an approval is just to subdivide the property. It's not a pre-endorsement or a pre-approval of what would be proposed to be built there. Obviously, if it becomes a separate application, site plan, it would go before whatever board based on the variances that would be sought. So that's just my comment. All right, motion to move the approval of the subdivision application.
Motion.
I think, Mr. Chairman, with all due respect, you just didn't, I think you did ask for a public comment. I just want to make sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
any comments from the public?
I think
Thank
he
you.
did.
He did.
He did. Yeah, I think he did, yeah.
I just missed it. I apologize.
Okay. Moved by Mr. Frayne. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mrs. Khaled. Roll call, please.
Mr. Alexander?
Yes.
Mr. Frayne?
Yes.
Ms. Perkins?
Yes.
Mayor Bowser?
Yes.
Committeewoman Terrell?
Yes.
Ms. Kalid?
Yes.
Chairman Lay?
Yes. Thank you for everyone's patience tonight.
Thank you, Mr.
And-
Chairman. We await the
Yep.
resolution.
Wonderful. Thank you for everyone's patience and engagement tonight. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Moved by Ms. Second.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Alexander. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned.